Jonathan Taylor, there he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. I-N-D-Y.
The Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Good morning. I don't really know what the temperature is, but it's got to be minus 444 this morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome into the Fan Morning Show. We are in day 194 of 7,000 of just sub-freezing web temperatures. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but are we there yet? Are we there to exaggeration?
I don't. It maybe felt balmy, honestly, on this Friday morning. I thought I saw 6 degrees in the car, which, hey, as long as that thing started, I don't care what the temperature was. So, hallelujah, it did. Thank you to all of our excellent, loyal, helpful listeners late in the show yesterday. I did go over to AutoZone. The battery passed.
Did you?
The test over there. So, encourage people out there, if you've got a battery question or issue, free. And then they do a little diagnostic testing, you know, your starter and all that. So,
wow.
Thank you to everybody out there. And yes, it looks like we do have a heat wave on the horizon. So,
getting into the teens?
Teens, or early 20s, mid-20s, something like that. So, much needed. And hopefully we are through all of this, and the snow that we're projected over the next week or so is not going to be too much.
Caleb, this is where I point out that 16 degrees is still 16 degrees less than freezing.
Yeah, we're halfway there, right?
Yeah. That's where we're at. We're starting to be like, it's 16 today. It's not all that bad.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I do think my attitude on cold weather, though, is we do have to go through this to really appreciate and savor the months of April and May.
Clearly.
Because that's what really makes those months special. If it was just warm all the time, you know, if we lived in Miami.
If you lived in Maui,
right.
It'd be tough. Can you imagine those poor people in Maui? They just don't get to experience this kind of weather to truly appreciate where they're living, Kevin?
That's what I think. That's my attitude.
I don't know if I'm all the way
It's a good
there.
attitude, though.
I don't know if I'm all the way there with Caleb at 7:01 in the morning.
Anyway, that's how it goes. The roads seem to be drying out a little bit. My only fear was it got kind of warm yesterday, like in the 20s, and with all the traffic that's been on the roads, that can make it kind of slushy, and then that stuff freezes up overnight. But you didn't have any problems coming in. Mine was fine.
None.
Caleb, you were good. Everything was good this morning.
Yeah, everything was smooth.
Yeah. As close to normal as we've had in a while, and I know that regular schedule for both my boys back in the high school today, yesterday, one of them still had a delayed start because of the cold, but both of them on time today. Took to get to Friday, Kevin, but they're on time and at school today. How about that?
Better late than never.
Yeah, like that. So we've fixed your car problem. That's always good. James Boyd's still kind of feeling under the weather. That, like I said, that thing has just been nasty. And when I talk about the cold weather, here's where I notice it. Just in the last, it's been 6 years since I had the heart attack and spent the 12 days in ICU and all that kind of stuff. And I'm down to only 2 medications. Everything's going great. I feel fantastic. That's all good. But one of them is a blood thinner, Kevin. And once I started taking the blood thinners, I don't tolerate the cold as much as I used to. It's crazy. So I know there are a lot of people out there that for whatever reason, they're getting old or like me, or they're on blood thinners like me, whatever it is. I don't know, I'm that old, but it feels like it some days. So I don't know if I whine about the cold, that's probably where it comes from, Caleb. Sorry.
I think we're all cold with you. I don't think you're unique here.
Yeah. But the dog is like, he's all over me to hurry up and you need to go out in the backyard and shovel me a space. He doesn't like the one over by the garage just off the driveway. He didn't like that one.
He's done with that?
Well, he keeps doing it, but he keeps wanting to go out the back, and then I let him out the back, and I open the door, and there's a foot and a half of snow blocking the exit of the patio, and he's like, why can't I go down here? So that's just kind of where we're at. And last night there was no local basketball to watch, but did you check out any of the NBA game between Dallas and Charlotte last night with Con Knippel going up against Cooper Flagg, maybe two of the future guys in the NBA?
Certainly Caleb Zuber did. As a Duke fan, I can imagine there 49 for Mr. Flagg. And you know what? When the Pacers have played the Hornets this year, Knippel's been very impressive. So, you know, for those that have not, maybe obviously Cooper Flagg is the more popular of the two, but he's been really, really good. That 34, to me, is not a fluke by any means. So, yes, tremendous last night. And certainly, when you look at the Rookie of the Year race, obviously Cooper Flagg likely be the guy. But there are some really good rookies this year, not just Cooper Flagg, and we'll see some of them coming up. Rising Stars game as we are less than a couple weeks, I think less than 2-3 weeks away from the All-Star game.
Caleb, weren't there 3 Dukies playing in that game last night?
Sion James would be the third for the Hornets. It was a good night for the program, might I say. Good night
your
for the
poor
brand.
program that just swaps out 6 academic or 6 All-Americans, McDonald's All-Americans for the next 6 all the time.
In all seriousness, though, I do think we went through some years in the NBA with some bad draft classes, but like this one, I think has turned out to be pretty good. And then the upcoming one looks to be pretty good as well. Obviously, I know that has implications here locally, but I think there's a lot of good young talent coming in the league now, and that's great.
It's crazy, and half of it's coming from some of these great programs that we've been watching all year long. Like we've been talking about Cam Boozer down at Duke, and talk about DeBonce, and we've been talking. There's, you could pick 5th, Kevin, and still get an incredibly talented player this year. It seems to be pretty deep in that top 5, 6 coming out this year.
Yeah,
top
probably
2 and 3 is going to be better.
Probably
clearly.
fire you don't want to necessarily play with, but yeah, it does seem like, to Caleb's point, there is a little bit more legit high quality depth to this 2026 group.
All right, we saw a couple of notes for Colts coaches yesterday, correct? A couple of things going on there. Jim Bob Cooter not going to get the job with the Philadelphia Eagles, and it looks like the Giants are going to interview not Alex, but Tanny, the quarterback's coordinator.
Alex. Alex. You got it right. Alex Tanny, and it sounds like Jim Bob Cooter both. So, we can get a little bit maybe into this at 7:30, but my assumption all along was if Jim Bob Cooter got an offensive coordinator job, Alex Tanny would become the Colts offensive coordinator. That's kind of how I viewed it. So I guess if 2 are interviewing with the Giants, that theoretically should leave 1 for you there. So I know the Colts have some other offensive coaches that potentially could be in line for that, but I would assume that's just a promotion within, if indeed they need to exercise that. So yeah, we saw the Eagles make an OC move yesterday, and so now we'll kind of await the rest of the dominoes because we still have 2 staffs that have yet to be obviously assembled because we've yet to have head coaches. So the coaching cycle now, it extends into February almost annually, and really, mid-February with where the Super Bowl is at once you get all your assistants hired and signed there. So we'll keep an eye out for that.
I was surprised, Kevin, too. The Colts to Eagles and Eagles to Colts offensive staff pipeline has been pretty strong over the years. And so, with Reich, Steichen, Sirianni, I was surprised in that Jim Bob Cooter didn't end up getting that job because I just thought it was written in the stars that it was going to happen.
I was going to say the coaches have shared the pipeline, but the wins have not shared
That's
the same.
True. That's very true.
Right? Particularly the playoff wins, particularly the Super Bowl.
Those have been tough to come by. I have been going down like YouTube rabbit holes of. I went back to the great come from behind win over the Patriots yesterday. I got caught up in the fourth quarter of that. Someone had posted the fourth quarter of that. That was fun to watch.
Okay. Dialing it back a bit.
You just that's kind of what my feed is. I've said this before. It's like clips of Colts, Pacers, Broncos, and then something related in those sports, and then a lot of alien videos. That's kind of what I get these days.
Well,
that's it.
Mark Dykman was here. He'd probably have some not safe for work type of.
Yeah. Marco sent me different things, right? That's how that goes. But I also saw we have the golf season has started again, and your favorite player, Brooks Koepka, was back on the tour yesterday. Did you see that?
Yeah, definitely not my favorite player by any means, but yeah.
Did I misunderstand that?
I think welcome, for the PGA Tour that Brooks Koepka is back. So yes, they're out at Torrey Pines. Got a great college basketball slate again starting tonight. Michigan State, great game. Here at the Big Ten tonight, and very different paths. I feel like our college teams locally for this weekend. Butler will be at home. They've got Georgetown, Purdue, and Indiana both at the road. This will be the first LA swing they'll get here starting tomorrow with UCLA. UCLA is actually playing pretty good basketball here as of late, and the Pacers have a rare practice today. So we're not used to this over the course of an NBA season, but they've got 2 days off. So they took yesterday off. Today they'll get on the practice floor. Tomorrow they'll have the Atlanta Hawks back inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Yeah, and just a quick refresher, too, on your PGA Tour. If I'm not mistaken, when Scottie Scheffler won last week, hasn't he won 6 of the last 12 tournaments?
He's doing stuff we really haven't seen since Eldrick, which, I don't say lightly. I mean, that's quite the statement. right there. And for those that are just waking up here on this Friday morning, certainly we hope that you listen to us. But if you want some background viewing, I believe we've got a 1-1 Joker Center semifinal down under. Sounded like last night. Just an epic 5-setter. Caleb, no chance you stayed up for Alcaraz, did you?
I didn't, but when I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning and I saw that Djokovic and Sinner was in the first set, I knew it was going to be a great Friday.
Yeah,
I knew.
Getting the 5-set to delay the start of the second semifinal.
This is
great.
what it's all about.
So Alcaraz
right here.
will go for the career Grand Slam coming up on, I guess it's the wee hours of Sunday morning, if my math is right here. And then we'll see about Djokovic or Sinner. 1-1 here down under. So
2-1 now.
2-1.
I have it up in here, just
2-1?
keeping an eye on it.
Who's leading?
Sinner.
Center's
So,
up 2-1, right? And Djokovic, it got down. I think it was down 5-2 in the first set, and you're thinking, oh, it's been a great run. He got to the semis because the last opponent had to quit in the middle of it, and you're like, maybe this is the end of him. But then he comes back and he wins the second set, man. And you're like, you never count some of the. Isn't it crazy? There's some people you just can't out, Kevin. You don't count them out because they'll come right back, and we'll see what happens with the rest of it. But Yannick Sinner, as I said yesterday, and Caleb, you're aware of this. All 4 of the top seeds for the men advanced to the semifinals. Totally on brand.
it's usually what we see in that sport for sure.
Yeah, we'll give you more details on how the women did, and I'll also give you some details on all the basketball coming up this weekend. A little nugget here and there for some other things as the check down comes in a moment. You're listening to 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Checkdown. Brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into a Friday. We've got some stuff coming up later tonight, but mostly tomorrow for basketball around here, including the Pacers. They are off until tomorrow night when they return home at the Fieldhouse to take on the Atlanta Hawks. They've won 2 of their last 3 after that 14-point rally to knock off the Chicago Bulls. They were down 14 in the fourth quarter, came back to win it the other night. It's the second of a 4-game homestand, and your chance to go out and see a relatively healthy Pacers team.
Yeah, I mean, outside Obi Toppin's situation, knock on wood, but it's probably the healthiest Pacers have been really all year long. So they'll actually practice today, how the schedule helps them out here, and then they'll have 3 more home games on this homestand. Back-to-back Monday, Tuesday, and again, trade deadline coming up on Thursday. We'll find out if Pascal Siakam is an All-Star reserve, I believe, on Sunday, and then the All-Star game coming up here in a little over 2 weeks.
All right. The future of the NBA may have been on display last night in Dallas as the Mavericks hosted the suddenly hot Charlotte Hornets. In this one, Cooper Flagg goes off for 49 points, 10 rebounds. That's the most a rookie's ever scored for the Dallas Mavericks. So they win, but they couldn't hold on because down the stretch, a couple of key free throws by Con Knipple, who scored 34, hit those with 4 seconds to go up 123-121. And despite the 49-point performance, Flagg missed a shot that could have either tied it and perhaps extended that game, but he couldn't make that last night. But stars on display, young guys getting it done already, man. Yeah,
and they've been great. I mean, again, I've watched the Hornets a couple times this season, and Knipple's been really, really good. And I think people that saw Duke last year could see this in him as well. So now the Pacers hope and wait that they reap similar benefits.
One other thing I want to throw out there, too. Houston Rockets beat the Hawks last night, 104-86, and Atlanta will be here tomorrow. Kevin Durant scored 31 points in that game. He seems ageless and impervious to coming back from an Achilles. I was watching a little bit of that on the highlights last night, and he still moves and scores so easily. It's crazy the way he just kind of makes it look no problem.
Greatest pure scorer in the history of the league?
It's got to be in the top 3, certainly in the discussion. It's amazing how smooth he is still at what he's got to be 34, 35 coming 2 years off the Achilles.
I'm going to guess he's older than that.
You think so? Well, he didn't move like an old man, so he scored 31 last night.
37
already. Man. Thanks for making me feel old again, Caleb. Appreciate that. Also, basketball, Butler will be hosting Georgetown tomorrow. That one will be at noon if you want to stay inside and keep warm. It's on TNT. Indiana at UCLA tomorrow night. Notre Dame at Syracuse. And then on Sunday, Purdue plays at Maryland. And we'll have at least a lot of basketball to watch this weekend. And it's that time.
Yeah, Butler gets a great crew. They get Brian Anderson, Grant Hill on the call of that one. Georgetown, the last Big East team they have played here this season. You know, for Indiana, by beating Purdue, you know, it's just a split, really, is what you need out west. Both are quad 1 games, quad 1 road wins, which, again, would be different than what Indiana has on the resume. UCLA probably the better of the 2 teams, so I'd assume a heavy cream and crimson contingent inside of Pauley Pavilion tomorrow. And then Sunday, Purdue will be a massive favorite, and boy, that is one that, you know, I know a lot of Purdue fans will have some anxiety over, even though they're one of the worst teams in the entire Big Ten here this season. Defensively, I continue to come back to that, you know, particularly, Purdue's lineup when you look at whatever from 6'2" to 6'8", you know, kind of that range. When teams start to get Purdue in that switching mode, how well can they hold up? So at Maryland, I believe it's a CBS game for Purdue on Sunday.
All right, Super Bowl is going to be a week from Sunday. The Patriots will wear their all-white uniforms. When we last saw in the snow against the Broncos, the Seahawks will wear blue. Also, the Eagles will not hire Jim Bob Cooter as their offensive coordinator. Giants, though, will interview Alex Tanney for their offensive coordinator position. Cooter, of course, the offensive coordinator for the Colts last year. Tanney, the passing game coordinator. So at least one of the two will be around for continuity's sake to be the offensive coordinator, I would guess.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, we do still have 2 more openings left in the league to be filled, Las Vegas and Arizona. And the Giants are interviewing both, but based off the reports I saw, both Jim Bob Cooter and Alex Tanney. Just to refresh everybody, New York, of course, hired John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh takes the approach of CEO. So Todd Monken, for example, was Baltimore's OC here the last couple of years, and he actually just got a head job with the Cleveland Browns. So, without calling the plays here in Indy, I get why Jim Bob Cooter as OC. Alex Tanney, I forget his exact title with the Colts. It's like passing game specialist or passing game coordinator, something fancy along those lines. Very highly sought after. Very highly thought of, I should say. Young coach. And, it was kind of one of those third QBs primarily in his NFL tenure. Actually spent a little cup of coffee with the Colts. So I assumed if Jim Bob Cooter got an OC job, Tanney would just be promoted here with Indy. So clearly some other people are thinking highly of him.
All right, let's take a look at the Australian Open, the first major on the tennis schedule this year. Right now, Jannik Sinner and Novak Djokovic, they are tied at 1 set apiece, and Sinner has a 3-2 lead in the third set. Am I reading that correctly from across the way here? You're nodding. It's Radio Caleb. That's the right thing, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Will that match be finished by the time our show is finished?
That's a good question.
I kind of hope not, because that means it's a classic.
That'll probably destroy Djokovic for the final, though, won't it?
You would think, but he might be Iron Man. Like he is still doing this at this age. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he will take on Carlos Alcaraz, who's already won an epic 5-setter earlier today against Alexander Zverev. Did you watch any of that coming in here?
No, I was not up at that hour.
Didn't stay up overnight?
I will watch the final. Like, it's on a weekend. I can do that. I can manage that.
All right. Count me in for tennis majors. I love watching those things, especially they get down to the quarterfinals and stuff. It's some unbelievable tennis most of the time. All right, for the women, Arina Sabalenka will be playing Elena Rybakina. That'll be tomorrow. I guess, I don't know, is that going to be late tonight, tomorrow kind of thing out in Australia?
I think in the early hours of the morning, Saturday morning, I guess. So I'll have to maybe check the real time on that. But yeah.
All right. Do you see IndyCar's Tim Cindric has been rehired by Team Penske to be the strategist for Scott McLaughlin. He was one of the 3 guys fired by the team after they failed inspections following the Indianapolis 500, and there was a bunch of controversy around that. All 3 of the guys that have been fired now have been rehired somewhere in IndyCar. So basically they were suspended. Well, you can't say that. They actually got fired and had to get new jobs, but they're all back at work, and it's hard to believe we're already getting ready for it. It won't be that long before we see IndyCars spinning around tracks soon, man.
You get fired for anything but losing, right?
That's how it works.
You always
right?
get your job back. Penske with a horrific year last year, and Tim Cindric, you know what? What you did, we'll sweep that right under the rug. Come on back. Integrity, we'd rather be in victory lane.
One note, we've been following kind of Lindsey Vohn's amazing comeback. She's 41 years old, and she has been leading on the World Cup circuit in the women's downhill this year with 2 wins and 3 podiums. She crashed off the course and came up limping with a left knee problem this morning. It's her last race before the Olympics in Italy in a couple of weeks. Some kind of left knee problem. We don't know how bad it is, but it was so bad there in Switzerland that the race was canceled after 3 of the first 6 racers crashed out off the course. So tough to be one of the first ones out in that.
Yeah, gosh, let's put her in bubble wrap until things get started.
I just hope the knee's okay, and it's just, something to come back from in 2 or 3 days. But that's what's happening in the world of sports. Anything else you wanted to throw in here on a Friday morning?
Senior Bowl this weekend. I know some of our draft nerds like to watch that. You do have some local flavor. Elijah Surratt, Kaelon Black. I believe I saw Donovan McCauley just got the late invite there, the former LN product, former IU receiver, transferred I think, a couple places, Michigan, where he most recently ended up. And, we haven't really seen the staff defection, if you will, from Indiana. From a football standpoint, I did see their co-OC, Chandler Whitmer, interviewing for the quarterback coaching job with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Whitmer does not call the plays. That's Mike Shanahan down there. But Fernando Mendoza was glowing in his praise of Whitmer last year as his position coach. He does come from a NFL background. Zach Robinson is the new OC with the Bucs there, and him and Chandler Whitmer had some time that overlapped in Atlanta. So it's something to keep an eye on for an IU football coaching staff update.
I watched a few minutes and saw Kaelon Black. They were raving about his pass, not just really the routes that he was running, and that he just looks smooth and gets out of breaks quickly and is got his head turned around in the right place and is making good catches. So it'd be fun to see a bunch of these guys go play on Sunday. after watching everything that they pulled off this past year. So that's what's happening in the world of sports right now. We'll talk more about the Pacers weekend coming up and also the Colts. They got to start. I'm sure they're busy in that probably not. They don't call it a war room right now, but they're trying to figure out which free agent's going to be available, who they're going to keep, who they're not going to keep, who they might like to move up their draft boards, all those kinds of things. And we'll try to take you behind that to the best that we can guess at it coming up in a moment. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning up in Adam this morning. It's going to be cold again, but we're getting used to that. Caleb doesn't even wear a jacket to work now. He's one of those guys. Stasiak used to come in here all the time. You remember, just in shorts and a T-shirt. Be like 2 degrees below zero. He's like, hey, we're good to go.
We all know that one guy that we went to school with, whatever, that always wore shorts in this weather, right? There's always that one.
There's always that one guy. But anyway, it's stay warm this morning, and the roads seem to be in pretty good shape as always. Be a little bit careful. But Kevin, Nothing tonight, and no really college basketball games of local interest for us to watch last night. No Pacers last night. What did you end up doing with your sports evening? Or did you just save it for the kids?
Yeah, that was a quiet night. That was a welcome night. That was REM sleep earlier. Much needed. I'm still fending off the sleep from Rakestraw and I on 1 a.m. on Tuesday night.
You feel recovered now?
Wednesday
You're good?
morning, I guess.
You recovered now?
I'm
You're
back, but
baby.
I'm looking forward to 8 o'clock when Greg Rakestraw joins us. We can have further therapy sessions.
Yeah, by the way, we'll update you on that. Tennis Matchonic Center is now up 4-3, both on serve at the Australian Open in the semifinals down there. It's the third set. They each won a set 6-3 for both of their respective scores. So I know we were talking during the break. I guess Joker's best strategy now, being older and wanting to get through this, is just to try and win close tie breaks in the next two sets, right? He didn't want that big 5-set monster.
Yeah, that's about the only way, but I don't know. I think it's headed that way. If you're not a tennis fan, obviously, keep listening to the show, but flip this on. This is what it's all about. Sports at 7:30 in the morning. There's not much better than that.
Not only that, but I've always thought this about tennis players, especially at the high level. The footwork, the quickness, the eye-hand coordination, the endurance to be out there for 3.5 hours sometimes, the ability to get yourself backwards as quickly as possible and set yourself up for either a forehand or a backhand. I find them to be unbelievable athletes, Kevin. And I don't know if they get the credit they deserve sometimes.
Yeah, and I only really pay attention to the majors. It seems like every time we get to the semifinals, it's like epic 5-setter last night, highlights here. I'm like, gosh, does every one of these go to 5 sets?
Some really good players.
Kev, we can talk to Greg, too. I know he had 7 a.m. tennis the day after the Notre Dame
He played
game,
at UIndy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I did know that.
I know. He looked at me when he goes, "Do you want to stay?" And I said, yes. It was one of the more reluctant yeses, not because I didn't want to be there. Obviously, I mean, hell, I wanted to storm the floor, but I could just feel it in his body. The backhand wouldn't have the same pop at 7 a.m. like it does. The drop shot wouldn't cut with the same spin and the 45-degree angle on that. The juice that he's able to put on those cut shots just wouldn't have the same bite to him.
So he sacrificed that for you.
I think he did, which just shows you the character that he is.
It's outstanding.
No
So,
surprise.
I want to go back to something you said, though, because I don't think you brought this up yesterday. Would you have, in fact, had the double overtime gone the other way and Notre Dame gets a win over a ranked team? First time that would have been the case for Micah Shrewsbury. Would you have, in fact, rushed the floor?
Oh, hell yeah.
Shirt on or off?
Well, I had a couple layers on, so probably on.
Okay.
That would take a while and probably wouldn't be the most flattering look if I'm going to be fully transparent there. But yeah, I would have been there. I would have been, jumping up and down.
All right. Here's a question for you. I've always liked the Butler athletics program. Really like everybody over there. Mike Freeman, John Dedman do a fantastic job. We'll have Thad Matta on at 8:30 today. I'll be on campus a little bit later on. I'm going to be a Butler dad, I think.
Oh, here we go.
All right.
My son's a senior. We're
Let's
going
go.
to a little program today. We're going to spend like half the day on the Butler campus. He hasn't signed the papers yet, but he's
Ooh, that
done well,
sounds
man.
official. That sounds like NIL official.
No, well, he's gotten.
He's the Duke quarterback. Miami's calling if he gets off Butler's campus there.
Dad is proud of him, but Dad's happy too because he's earned himself an academic scholarship too.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Mom and Dad, thank you very much.
Butle, are you a bulldog? Hell yeah, let's go.
Let's go. So
Caleb, how about a 4-pack right now?
Yeah.
In the text chain tomorrow at noon. Get out of the house. You haven't been out in days. No better place to warm up than Hinkle. The sun will be piping in those
That's what we do.
windows up top. 317-239-1070. Name and email, Caleb. We'll take somebody in there.
name an
For the
email. We'll make it that
Butler
easy
4-pack.
for you. Won't even make you do like a little code word or anything.
Texting. Is that-
Texting.
Now,
Okay, okay,
someone
I was
asked
gonna
me about this the other day. The reason I like to put little phrases or words on there, and I'll show you how to do this after the show, Caleb, is once people send you a text on the program that we're using, like if you wanted to put Bulldog on there, in this particular instance, all we just need your name and email right now. But then we can separate all of those texts from all the other texts, and you can have
That's a
your
good
own little
point.
column
That is a good
that you
point.
can then just pick randomly.
It's like you're
a
a
number
radio
there.
pro, Jeff. Learning a lot from you over here.
Depends on who you talk to.
Just trying to be a sponge, you
It
know.
depends on who you talk to. That's how that goes. Kevin, with all the movement for coordinators and coaches, and the Broncos fired 3 guys after their loss to the Patriots the other day. Everybody gets on this kind of merry-go-round in the carousel for a couple of weeks. Anything that's really stood out to you that could be like a game changer? Like, I think Harbaugh to the Giants completely changes the fortunes of that franchise. I don't know that they're going to win Super Bowls necessarily, but they'll be in the mix before too long. He'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I probably live in a little bit more of an AFC bubble. Obviously, I'm very curious what Buffalo's going to look like, considering, the uniqueness of their success. I mean, 6 straight years with a playoff win. We don't see many NFL franchises do that. And then they just decided to promote within with the first-time head coach. Obviously, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, 2 very different resumes there. Jesse Minter, much younger. Mike McCarthy, of course, accomplished. A lot of people kind of look at it and say, okay, what really happened there with Mike Tomlin? But, those teams have been seemingly right there every year. And I believe the Colts play the AFC North next year. And then, Robert Saleh, that's a very different looking head coach from, what they had previously. Different sounding head coach, I would also say, based off that opening press conference. But that is a defensive head coach, and you've got the young quarterback there. Now, Brian Dable, right, is the OC. I believe that was the hire for the Titans. So that'll be interesting to see Cam Ward's development, because right now it's probably the most optimistic the AFC South has looked in several years, and Tennessee's the one outlier.
It's going to be fun to watch. I always use that word fun, I guess interesting. But the Colts going to look. We saw this year that Jacksonville with Liam Cohen, they may be a player for a while. We already know that they're doing a good job coaching the team, and they got to get C.J. Stroud going a little bit. But Houston's not going anywhere right away, and who knows what's going to happen now with Robert Saleh down with the Titans. It's time. They have to step up this year. We keep saying that, Kevin. And the question is, if they're running it back largely on the strength that they're going to get a healthy quarterback and maybe they hopefully draft well, is there enough there to run it back and compete with those teams next year? That's really the question.
Certainly. And again, they're banking on, some football, God help. I do this exercise each year where, I write a story. I annually kind of look at Ballard and Steichen, good and bad. If I said, what is the good of Chris Ballard, you would say what? The good, not the bad. We need uplifting. Look at this weather. The good of Chris Ballard.
He has had some hits in the draft, but he's also had just as many misses, and I don't know how that ranks.
No. Good. We got it.
I will say this. My favorite Chris Ballard move of all time was still trading a first-round pick for DeForest Buckner. And how long ago has that been, Kevin?
Can I do something more recent?
Yeah, I was gonna say we got to focus on recent good. I do this every year, and I have found good, to be clear.
Yeah,
and it's not a trade of 5 years ago, which I think again you can debate.
Does Daniel Jones count last year as good?
You can debate the Buckner trade because that was the draft that again had Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts sitting there when you were at 13 overall. So Caleb, all you.
I like the receiving core. I like Josh Downs. And obviously the development of Alec Pierce. I think that's a good group. Does it have maybe a top of the line receiver in the league? Probably not yet, but I think that's a good group. They're complementary and they work well together. And so I would say that's my biggest positive.
Yeah, again, I try to do this each year, so I try to focus on the recent 12 months, because, Jeff, you're going back 5 years. To me, it's okay, let's live in the 2025, 2026 bubble. What is the good? Caleb, I would take it a step further and just say, if you look at the offense that finished top 10 in the league last year in scoring, he drafted virtually everybody on that offense. So whether it is Jonathan Taylor, whether it is Pittman, Pierce, Downs, to your point about the wideouts, whether it is Tyler Warren, and really, I can hear people like, well, no bleep, it doesn't, whatever. Anybody could draft Tyler Warren at 14 overall. How about the offensive line? You're talking about a third-round pick in Ryman, a fourth-rounder in Bortolini, a third-rounder in Gonzalez. Braden Smith, I think, is going to go down as one of the more underrated draft picks the Colts have had. At some point today, I want to play this audio. Anthony Costanzo joined Jack Doyle. Jack does an excellent job on his podcast over with the Colts. And Costanzo had some really enlightening quotes, really about everything, but in particular about Braden Smith. And so maybe at some point, Caleb, we can dial that up today. But I would just say Ballard has drafted across the board. And, again, you can make, the Daniel Jones assessment as well in terms of free agent signing. That's a very impressive haul offensively for a unit that was one of the better ones in the league. So I would say that falls in the good category.
Certainly for recently. I agree with you there.
The other thing I would mention, too, is getting a player like Sauce Gardner. Now, I think it's a very complicated trade. I think there are a lot of tentacles to the trade that maybe should be explored a little bit more. I would argue some of that falls on Carly Gordon's plate in greenlighting it. But if you're just going to live in the player acquisition bubble, he was able to go out and get an all-pro type of corner who is still 25 years old, who is still on a manageable contract. Now, again, the list of good, I don't know if it extends much longer than that. I don't think it looks like a CVS receipt. I think it looks like that receipt I got at AutoZone yesterday to say I got the battery test. Thank you to everybody out there that encouraged me to do that. Very nice test, and thank you to the woman there off Washington Street who helped me with that. But I do think there are a couple items of good, and I think with the weather so bleeping awful outside, we should mention some good.
I think that's fine. And it's not that I'm saying, and that's why I was talking about the draft, that I think he's had a bunch of hits. But as we know, the biggest problem that he's had, and that Daniel Jones acquisition remains to be seen over the long haul. We were very encouraged by what we saw when he was healthy last year, and that's probably why he and the coaching staff are coming back. But edge and quarterback, that's where he's mostly, unless the Daniel Jones things works out long term, that's where he's missed.
Well, yeah, I mean, the good segment just ended
I got you.
after 3 minutes.
But I guess my problem is, you say that, my brain goes right back to, but yeah.
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's January 30th. We've talked a lot of Chris Ballard bad for the last 3.5, 4 weeks. But the indictment of the resume is probably the good segment, again, just lasted 3 or 4 minutes. And the bad segment could continue. I mean, we can go down. If we want to play the bad card, yes, the Anthony Richardson draft. I mean, hell, you could do a whole show on that. Obviously, edge rush. Why did they feel the need to go get Sauce Gardner? You could make the case it's because they've missed at corner so often that they felt the necessary need to go out there and get a player like that. You could say, and part of the bad would be just this culture, just the collapsing culture late in seasons, no matter the coach. When they've gotten to the what time of the season, December, January, they wilt quite often. How much of that is an indictment of the culture that he has created or the roster that he has built there. So, again, if we did the reverse of this, the bad segment, we might be here till Jake gets on air at noon.
And I think it's fascinating, too, as we were talking about this, and I caught myself doing it, that, yes, you would ask, what's the recent positive? And I've probably, like a lot of fans, got to get out of the, got to figure this out now, because there have been these misses and these mistakes that have led you to just utter mediocrity. And I think that's where people get frustrated, and this is what it is. Chris Ballard's going to be coming back. I think most people are okay with Shane Steichen coming back, but they've got to stay. The problem with last year is obviously Daniel Jones, once he gets hurt, he'd played well. Your starting quarterback, probably most of your hopes go up in smoke at that point in time. But how do they get themselves to a point where they can withstand some key injuries like some other teams have been able to? And I don't know how many teams can survive the quarterback, to be fair, but it just feels like it's hard to be positive about running this back again.
That's kind of my question. I kind of hesitated to bring this up towards the end of the season, but when we say injuries, I feel like when we talk about the Colts and we say injuries, we're just really talking about Daniel Jones getting injured, because I feel like all the other injuries are that's the NFL. And that's what happens in the NFL. Guys get hurt, and it happens. And you got to be able to have depth. You got to be able to have the coaching to get through it. But when we talk injury, it's really, that's all it is. We use that as a catch-all term, but I think it's really Daniel Jones is the injury that throws a wrench into everything, because it's your quarterback. Kind of to your point, Jeff.
Well, and I guess if you go there, is it safe to say that essentially they finished their season without their best offensive player in Daniel Jones and their best defensive player in Sauce Gardner? Although, could he even be considered the best defensive player because he was there playing such a little amount of time?
Yeah, I mean, some might say Buckner.
He was hurt too.
You ended the year without Buckner too. So yeah, I definitely can hear where Caleb's coming from on that. Yeah, there is an element of you play in the NFL. This isn't the PGA Tour. This is a little different from an injury standpoint that you're going to get here. And, obviously there is context to it. I don't think you ignore the injuries by any means, but, I think all of a sudden banking on, boom, a snap of the finger and everything is going to turn around. Unfortunately, Daniel Jones has a long list of injury history. And unfortunately, DeForest Buckner's reached north of 30, and it's a back, and now it's a neck. And, Travarius Ward's situation, we remain, looking for some clarity on that. Exactly what is his plan? He had a quote at the end of the season of at my next concussion, if he does play, at my next concussion, I'm going to need to retire. Well, I mean, if every NFL player thought about that, then, oh boy, you'd be unfortunately, on the watch list, if you will, for a lot of them. Did I see the NBA draft lottery announcements on Mother's Day?
I did not.
Is that right?
Should we alert the moms here in the state? You want to
It's
go
on
ahead?
a Sunday?
You want to go ahead and do that for me? I thought I saw Tony East mention this. Can you confirm, Caleb?
Yeah, I'll do some looking here.
Now, not to go full whatever sentimental here or, look up to the heavens, but the matriarch of the Pacers, we could maybe use her looking down, Miss Nancy Leonard, if she would like to cook up anything on that Mother's Day Sunday there. So, moms, we got some appointment watching tonight. We got to see how the ping pong balls are bouncing.
It's on Mother's Day. It's always during the week.
Why do I remember it being a Tuesday night before game one of the Eastern Conference?
That's what it is all the
At
time.
halftime, and you bring the representatives from each team out for
Mother's
whatever
Day,
reason.
Sunday afternoon.
Here's the quarter I've had since 1947, and if you rub the head side of it, all of a sudden, blah blah blah.
It's May 10th, Kevin. I was worried it was going to be during the PGA Championship.
Is that the
But
same
it
day?
is not. The PGA Championship is the following weekend. So we avoided crisis there.
Boy.
By the way, quick check down under. Third set's been won by Sinner. He got a late break. He wins at 6-4, and now they are playing the first game of the fourth set. So there you are.
Just awesome.
Caleb.
Just
There you are.
awesome.
I'm really proud of you, how well you're able to manage all these things, because you're invested in that tennis tournament, but you're also carefully and closely listening to the show that you're producing.
I'm just peeking over and checking the score because I
it.
obviously have a job to do, okay? And I'm trying to
Oh, it's
really...
it's on my phone, too. I'm just letting you know. So,
all right. I feel better now.
I'll let Kevin talk all he wants about free agents and things like that. But there's a lot of decisions for them to make, and I guess you have to kind of wait and see who's going to be unrestricted free agent. Well, not so much unrestricted, but who's going to get franchised, who's going to be tendered offers and things like that. So usually the first week of March is when we really have what's in front of you as far as a landscape for free agency and starting to build your team ready to go then, right?
Yeah, I believe it's March 11th is the new league
sounds late.
year.
Is that late?
I don't think that's late. No, I don't think that's late. March 9th, I believe that Monday is kind of when you get into the old tampering, and I say that in quotes. That's typically when you start to see deals get done. This from Brad. He goes, Ballard missed on Anthony Richardson, but what QB drafted after him has turned out great. We are bringing up a topic we've brought up a lot, but I continue to go back to the day Andrew Luck retired. To me, that is you bring every scout into your office and you say, guys, as much as we think we might have a championship type of team, as much as we look at last year and say, hey, we won a playoff game in Houston, we got to the divisional round in Kansas City, we're right there. We have got to exhaust every avenue in finding the next franchise quarterback. And he chose to Band-Aid it. And this is where the Buckner trade comes up, Jeff. That next year they had the 13th overall pick. And some people want to shoot a little bit for the moon. They like to say, look, Justin Herbert went 6 overall, Tua went 5, Burrow went 1 overall in that draft. You should have traded up. Okay, you could play that game, but, and I get it. That's what Kansas City did with Mahomes. That's what Buffalo did with Josh Allen. Even Baltimore traded up to get Lamar Jackson. You also had Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts in that very draft. And Jordan Love went, 15 picks after the Colts sat there at 13 overall. And Jalen Hurts went, where'd he go? Middle of the second round. That would have been, to me, more of the avenue. Because DeForest Buckner has been a great player, has he not?
He's been their best defensive player over the years since he's been here, probably.
How many playoff wins with DeForest Buckner?
Same as you and me.
So if you, at that pick, if you're drafting a high-level quarterback, and again, I'm not sitting here acting like Hurts or Love are the Mahomes of the NFL, but they are certainly better than what you've had and would offer just stability at that position and the building with a rookie contract quarterback. Because then you decided to mortgage a lot with Carson Wentz, and that took you a couple years to get out of. I mean, hell, you could make the case you're still trying to get out of it. So I would point more to that, Brad, of just right then, right now, to me, when you Band-Aid it, you're playing with fire. To me, you have got to try and find the long-term QB. It's not easy. You know, again, listen to Terry Pagula, the Bills owner, describe Brandon Beane and the Houdini act that he pulled off and trading up from 21 twice to get Josh Allen at 7 overall.
Yeah, I look back at that 2020 draft. I was not sold on.
I thought it was a great rally between Sinner and Djokovic.
No. I'm trying to think of the way to say this because I remember going back on that draft.
That was the biggest pregnant pause we've ever had in the show.
I was just looking back on it. I don't know that at that time, everybody, the whole league was like, ooh, Jordan Love's going to be great. There was a lot of controversy of coming from a smaller school, Nevada. How good's he going to be? There were a lot of people that weren't sure that Jalen Hurts was going to be. I mean, he was 53rd in that draft, wasn't he?
Right. But again, that's why you get paid the big bucks.
No, but I think sometimes we do revisionist history, and it's not like everybody in the league was knocking down those guys' doors.
No, but point. The Band-Aid quarterback or address the long-term need was a debate we had. And again, they chose a path that was more of the Band-Aid and continued on that front. So that's where I would go back to. This from Angie. She goes, for this mom and Pacers fan, could be the greatest Mother's Day gift ever. Angie, you work your magic. How about that?
That would be awesome, man.
Who needs chocolates and flowers and jewelry when you can have the number 1 pick in the NBA draft?
Yeah, man, that's pretty awesome. That'll be fun. That'll be a good day for sure.
It's good prep time for me to start saying to Maddie how it's important that we watch it.
Yeah, like, how's that work? How does that lead-up process work?
And it's like,
house?
Wait, they're gonna grab a bunch of ping pong balls that have numbers on them, and there's a special combination that the Pacers are hoping to. Like, how does this work?
Just so damn complicated to explain. I might need to time up a little number 2 visit to the old bathroom and just dial it up on the phone.
Is that your escape hatch?
Yeah. I might have to do that. But then, hell, don't they go to commercial once they get to like the top 4 or something?
Yeah, they do.
Well, man. There's a lot. Yeah. They drag that thing out as long as they can.
Who do the Pacers throw up there? Do they put Halliburton up there?
Man, that's a great question. Ooh.
Who would be the good luck charm currently for this team?
Boomer.
You got a big old mascot sitting at that desk, yeah. I like Tyrese because I feel like all the eyes went to what this pick could be, obviously after the game 7 ended and when his injury happened. So I think it would almost be like a bookend to this time with the Indiana Pacers and I think that would make the most sense. I don't know who else you guys would probably know better than me who would be a better candidate.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we see past players, from teams. Occasionally you'll see like ownership family members. I'm trying to think of, is it the Pistons' son that I feel like has been up there a couple of those times, maybe when they got Cade Cunningham or something along those lines.
The Cavs had Dan Gilbert's
that's
son.
what I'm thinking of.
And he actually passed away not too long ago, but he got them the number 1 pick a few times.
Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of.
So you believe, the way you said that, you believe in the lucky charm then?
I think
Did
it's
you hear
a real
that?
thing.
He definitively said he got them the number 1 pick a couple of times.
He wore a little bow tie?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Glasses. I can see him right now.
How about would you put anybody from the Fever side of the building over there?
I don't know.
Like a Caitlin Clark or something like that?
I feel like you got to stick with the Pacers.
You got to stick strictly the Pacers?
Yeah, I think you do.
I'm just looking in the building. That's all.
No,
just looking in the building.
Hey, all options are on the table
I'm looking for anybody who recently has had a ton of good flow and success and things like that. Although it's been tough for her with injuries the last year too. Who would you put out there, Kevin?
Oh, I think I said it. Halliburton.
That's it. So you will go definitively with Halliburton.
Now he might be weird. You know, he might say, "Well, the only reason we have that pick is because I got hurt, and I don't want to do it." Who knows how he would feel about it? But if rest in peace. But if Nancy Leonard was still alive, I'd throw her up.
How about Mark Boyle?
Well, I can't see Mark Boyle wanting to do
No,
that.
I don't think Mark would want to, but I think it would be an incredible, deserved honor for somebody like him to
First
say.
ever radio play-by-play. That'd be great for our industry.
Well,
What about
he's been such a
put up Rakestraw.
Yeah.
what about Rick Smits?
Smits?
I just because he's the highest draft pick in the franchise's history, right? Second, they haven't had the first.
Okay.
Would that be good or bad luck? I don't know. I think that might be good luck.
I like
you
this
could
one
spin
from-
it
yeah.
to say bad luck. I don't know.
I like this one from Kirk. He says, TJ? What do you think?
TJ McConnell?
Yeah, he just says TJ Little Leprechaun. I'm guessing that's what he's talking about.
Is he going to be on the team next year? I don't know. I don't know. It's
That's a good question. Who do they send?
We got.
Did they just
a
play
lot
it
of time.
straight and send Kevin Pritchard?
Could do that too.
I don't know. All right, it's Fan Morning Show. Greg Rakestraw coming up in a minute. I'll bet he's got the answer to this question because, let's face it, he has the answers to all Indiana sports questions. That's next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
not much time left today. Life is a highway.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Oh, this takes me back to the good old days when the kids would watch the movie Cars in the back seat just on replay. Like, they must have watched that thing 500 times.
Lightning
McQueen, Doc Hudson. Good stuff. Have you guys, what's the movie that just is on repeat in your house?
Oh, boy. We love Sing, Zootopia, Shrek.
Greg Rakestraw joins us now on the
Toy
Payless Liquors hotline. Greg, you've got young ones too. Was there a movie, especially when they were younger, that was just on in the house all the time?
I am a parent of the Frozen generation. My daughter would rotate between being Elsa and Anna, so I tried to let it go years ago, but it simply can't.
How many times did you get to hear that song over that 6-month period?
I think it's
probably
like those signs from McDonald's, billions and billions served, somewhere along those lines.
Yeah. Well, good morning and welcome into the Fan Morning Show as always. Happy to have you here. Any postscript you want to write about the trip? I noticed that I saw that you were noticing that Kevin really wanted to go to the next year's Virginia Notre Dame game with Rick Carlisle.
I have no problem. You know, there was talk of the group of 2 expanding to 4, and then Kevin's buddy that wanted to come along the trip couldn't make it. So then my buddy that's an alumni said, all right, you got to sit this one out. This will be just me and KB. So there may need to be like some sort of like party rental bus that makes the trip up to the game next year. But the crazy thing about major college basketball is with so many teams in a given conference, Virginia may not play in South Bend for like 37 more years. We have no idea. So Rick is welcome to come on the trip anytime he would like to. But, you know, we'll even listen to Bruce Horsby in the range. If that's what gets you in the mood to get fired up for the game, that's fine. I'm just not sure when the next time UVA will actually be in snowy South Bend.
Yeah, we can talk Ruth Riley and Caston Comets with Rick Carlisle if he joins us. Rick, great work the other night. And honestly, I'm sorry that I really wanted to stay for that double overtime. I felt bad. Did the backhand on Wednesday morning lack a little pop with you not getting the full night of rest?
I was going to lose to that dude anyway. That just kind of secured the deal, so it's quite all right. And obviously, you can't leave a game like that, especially when there's only about 2,000 people in the building. It's noticeable when somebody leaves early because that's for as good of a time as I had, and I hope to go back and add to the attendance totals at Notre Dame next year again for a 4th consecutive season. That's the thing that Kevin kept hearing from me as I'm looking around and I'm going, I'm not sure what better entertainment options there are in South Bend on a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, albeit it was snowing, albeit it was cold, but like there's not that facility is so cool and so unique, but frankly so cozy. There's not a bad seat in the house. You're not far away from the action at any point in time, and the parking was absolutely free after 4 o'clock. So I'm still trying to figure out what in the world else was going on Tuesday night in South Bend. There weren't more people in that building.
Yeah, tell me about it, Rake. Now you're really twisting the knife a little bit here. Greg Rakestraw with us, Payless Liquors Hotline. Rake, this is a question I feel like I could have asked you at any point over the last, 5, 10, 15 years, but it sounds like it's got some relevance based off what Kyle Neddenrip wrote yesterday. We have I believe a proposal that is now going to go in front of the IHSAA from the Indiana Basketball Coaches Association for a shot clock as early as next year. I want to say Neddenrip mentioned basically 600 coaches were polled on it, and I thought he had the number of north of 70% want the shot clock. I get administratively there's some pushback on whatever, pricing, staffing, someone running the shot clock. Have you heard any pushback from coaches? Like, take the funding mechanism out of the way or the staffing mechanism. What about coaches? Do you hear any pushback from them? Clearly the percentage is not very high, but still, I'm curious about that side of it.
No. And again, my pushback from a basketball standpoint has been, I don't think it's necessary. I can probably point to 1 or 2 possessions a game where a team might hold the ball for the last 45 or 50 seconds of a quarter to make sure they have the last shot, where in 35 seconds that wouldn't be possible. And the other thing that probably that I had not acknowledged until kind of reading the story yesterday was that perhaps you don't have to start fouling as early, although to be blunt, it's not like I'm seeing teams start fouling with 3 minutes left to go, trying to get back into the game. Normally, if you're doing that, the game is over, and you're not even fouling at that point. There's not a lot of games that I do where I feel a high school basketball game drags along. Most of the games that we do are done in less than 90 minutes because we don't add television timeouts. And so it's not like I'm like, you know what, we need to speed up the game because it's taking too long. No, that's not the problem either. My biggest gripes have been funding and staffing. And the other thing that I have said, on this run is that this is not the job of high school basketball to prepare you for college basketball. It is a wonderful added side benefit, but that's not the point of high school basketball. And so I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if it happens, but I don't think there's this massive need. I don't think, well, my God, thank goodness they fixed high school basketball because now we got a shot clock. I've never thought that once.
Couple other numbers Ned and Rip mentioned in that piece. A few years back, he said only 10 states around the U.S. had a shot clock. That number's risen to 27. And then I did see a couple of coaches have said, hey, you would lose the ability maybe for a big upset potentially,
Sure.
and it takes a coaching strategy out of the game.
It does, but I think there's frankly less of that now that we're playing class basketball. I think that's more of a deal if a really good 1A team was playing a really good 4A team in terms of a postseason game. If a 1A team is playing a 4A game now, it's because the 1A team is probably really good and wants to get that higher level of competition because they think they can make a state tournament run. So, yes, it would potentially alter strategy, but again, I think that's an infinitesimal number of games that would affect across the state.
Greg Rakestraw joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline right now. Let's talk some college basketball for just a minute. I'm one of those that believes that Purdue will find the best version of itself before this season is over and make a decent run in the NCAA tournament. Deep run, I would think, but we'll wait and see how that works out. But has Indiana found something in the last week and a half, Rake, that they can take forward here?
I think with their roster shift, yes. And obviously what they were needing was simply a marquee win. And now they've got it. Now they've got a win they can hang their hat on, having beaten Purdue. And again, that's what the Big Ten affords you, is that you get so many chances to do just that. So, yes, I think Indiana has found something. And now we can start legitimately having the conversation about Indiana being an NCAA tournament team, which I always thought, if we're grading not on a curve, but we're grading on the tightest scale possible for Purdue, did you make the Final Four or not? It is the opposite. It is a pass-fail class for Indiana, and that is, did you make the NCAA tournament? And now I think because of Tuesday's win, we can have the conversation.
Rake, I want everyone in their lives on this earth to feel the feeling that I felt when Cole Serta hit the three to go up 16, and you looked at me and you go, should we get season tickets?
Well, I made that offer like thinking, all right, we're here, and they're beating Virginia, who is ranked in the top 20, which I don't see. But still, I just go, I was making that meaning, I think they're going to offer us season tickets because we are the good luck charm. However, if you want to, go halvesies on a pair of season tickets and we make it up a handful of time of games during the course of the season.
You just lost him, Greg.
We do like other fan bases do, become entrepreneurs and sell them off when we're not going to the game. We can have that conversation because clearly by my earlier statement, there is a massive ticket demand, for weeknight basketball games in January in South Bend.
Part of our conversation included a couple of, I guess, Midwest-ish teams that right now are both ranked, and I'm talking about Miami of Ohio. Shout out Pete Suter. Shout out Justin Kirby, I believe, and really a very centric Indiana coaching staff. And then we slide over I-70. Shout out to Josh Schertz and the St. Louis Billikens with Rec Spec still getting it done there. Very balanced St. Louis team. They have lost just once all year, St. Louis, with Robbie Villa from Indiana State, of course, and Josh Schertz. And Miami of Ohio still undefeated with, again, the local flavor there. So I'll leave both those stories to you, Rake. You share what you want to about Miami of Ohio and St. Louis.
Shout out to Pete, who was at the Carmel game on Friday night, and he and his lovely mother come and said hello when I was on the air. So it was great to see them, and hopefully have a chance to do that a couple of times more. But no, have they played the toughest schedule? No, but you are undefeated this late in the season. You deserve the props. And again, I think now what the really interesting, conversation is going to be is if they get tripped up in the MAC tournament, are they going to get an at-large berth? And that's going to be the conversation for Joe Lunardi, et cetera, from now until March 15th. And obviously, I know about St. Louis's record, and I'm 0% surprised because Josh Hurts has done that everywhere he has went. But what I haven't done is I haven't studied St. Louis's record to be able to say, hey, if are they in a similar boat? Is the A-10 now a one-bid league? Is on the higher end of one-bid league, kind of like the Missouri Valley, but they know it's a one-bid league because we've effectively, stripped the title, mid-major away. There are not usually multiple bid leagues outside of the top 5 or 6 leagues. Like the Big East is kind of the end of those leagues going to get multiple bids. So we'll kind of see how it plays out. But I am 0% surprised that Josh Hurts is having success at St. Louis. And Robbie Avila strikes me as the type of guy, and especially with, eligibility being fungible these days, he may play at St. Louis now for 19 years. So we can be talking about his career in the A-10 a couple of decades from now.
Greg, what's your weekend look like?
So hoops tonight, Warren Central, North Central. Hoops tomorrow night, Carmel and Fishers, and then a Sunday off. So I had some downtime this week, which frankly kind of scheduled. Mother Nature made that a certainty. This has kind of been scheduled as a light weekend, but that Carmel Fishers game tomorrow night is going to be absolutely massive.
And that regular season win streak, Rake, is at what number for Fishers?
I believe it's at 46, and Kyle pointed that out this week. So it's the last time the Fishers lost a regular season game was 2 years ago to Carmel in that building. I tend to look at it as they have played, I think, 77 times in the last 2 2/3 seasons, and they lost twice at Carmel and then against Jeffersonville in last year's state championship game. It is a testament to the job that Garrett Weiniger has done at Fishers High School because that team is rolling. And I thought they would be very good this year, but when you lost Jason Gardner Jr. for now over a month with that hand injury, I'm like, well, they're going to fall back to earth a little bit. They had a transfer, they got eligible, and they have not missed a beat. In fact, since kind of that weekend where he got hurt, where they were, HSC is always going to play him a tough game. Shortridge played them to a close game the next night. Since that time, they've had one single-digit margin win, and that was against the other team that I think might be the other best team in the state. That's when they beat Pike by 9 on January the 8th. So Fishers has it rolling. I haven't seen them since early December. Looking forward to seeing them tomorrow night.
Did you see I left you the Oreos in the cup holder?
I did, and for point of reference, Kevin's house and my house is about maybe 8 blocks away. They did not survive to Kessler Boulevard. So thank you for the midnight snack. I appreciate that.
Three were double stuffed, ran out of the double stuffed. We actually had a regular Oreo package as well. So I wanted to get the 4. I was thinking 2 and 2, and you know what? Your driving is so excellent. You deserved all 4 of them.
Well, thank you. And 4 of them were eaten so quickly, I couldn't tell what they were eating. So thank you.
Hey, one other thing. We were talking about this a while ago. Who should the Pacers send to be the representative for the ping pong ball drop? Say that fast 5 times.
Right. That's a great question. I think this is the perfect time to bring Bowser back into existence. Bowser.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, fellas.
Thanks, Rake.
The ping pong ball draw. Say that.
Yeah, I'm glad
times.
you said it. Not me. Mark Dykton would have cut that up in a heartbeat.
Check this out. Now in the 4th set at the Australian Open, Djokovic is leading 4-3, and he has a break against Sinner so far in this set. Have you watched that at all, Caleb?
Keeping an eye on it, of course.
He might be inevitable.
Yeah.
Joker. He might be the one that's just like, should we test him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or was it Sinner the one that got busted for PEDs a couple years ago?
Sinner was, yep.
Yeah.
That was him.
So is he not going to be a first ballot tennis Hall of Famer?
Yeah. I think Djokovic was more famous for he doesn't want to put anything that he doesn't have to in his body. Remember, he wouldn't play during COVID because of all the restrictions, he didn't want to take a vaccination. That was his stand. And he was one of those guys, and there are athletes like that. I've encountered them over the year. Kevin, they don't want anything that doesn't come straight from nature in their bodies.
We should get into a good COVID vaccine debate.
Yeah, that'd be
no,
great.
I was just pointing out
up here on the Friday morning.
I was pointing it out that was his stance right there.
Matt has offered a party bus to South Bend. I've got a cousin who has a 15-pack van. Should we go there?
I'll go.
Is he available Tuesday, the 24th of February? Is Duke plays there, and
Caleb wants to watch that Duke action.
Not being a diehard Notre Dame fan, am I allowed to go on that trip, or do you just want?
Let's be. I've heard you
guys?
talk. You aren't even a Notre Dame fan. Don't even put yourself in the diehard category. I've heard you disparage them with your comments over the
I don't
past
disparage them.
year.
You get mad because I omit them sometimes.
It's pathetic. By the way, maybe at some point today, I know Mike Chappell wrote a piece explaining his vote, lack thereof vote, I guess, for Bill Belichick. If you want to point directly to it, why he voted for Robert Kraft over Belichick. So maybe we can get to that maybe in the 9 o'clock hour, because I did think I had some interesting points in it there.
I'm looking forward to seeing more people explain why they did that. And what it comes down to is essentially you couldn't vote for everybody. And a lot of people thought, well, Belichick is going to get in anyway. For a couple of these guys, it's the last chance we'll even have to put them in. But I think his was more about Kraft over Belichick as much as anything, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he also voted for, if I'm not mistaken, some other players over Belichick. I think Casey Anderson would have been one of the players. So, I think there's a ton of discussion you can have off of this. And you know what? Credit to Mike Chappell for writing about it. I mentioned this earlier in the week. I think we should have more transparency with these votes. I don't think it should be as secretive as it is. I think it's a great opportunity to explain yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't, knowing Mike Chappell like I do, he is not making a rash decision. This is something that is thought of. He's a terrific human being. Learned a lot from him. I disagree with him, but I also appreciate him taking some time to write about it and explain it, because he's going to have New England people, sitting at the Beech Grove city limits waiting for Chap.
Wait, are you saying that there will be New England fans upset at Indianapolis media at any point in time?
Move from Kravitz and Fishers down to
I think I saw Bob
Chapel and Beech Grove
reply to Chap's tweet and say that Chap
Spider-Man
became
meme.
Yeah, he's like,
Good
Chap
luck.
is the second most hated Indianapolis journalist in the Northeast. So that was pretty funny.
Shout out to Harrison. He's won our 4-pack going to Butler, Georgetown tomorrow at noon. They can hear that right here, right, Jeff? That's on the Fan.
That should be on the
11:30
Fan.
pregame.
Yep.
The great Mark Menner.
No Pacers.
The great Nick
conflict
Gardner.
there.
I believe Nick Gardner's Warriors are in the finals coming up here this weekend. I believe his oldest, if I saw that correctly. Shout out to Menner and Gardner. We might have one more in the 9 o'clock hour. One more 4-pack maybe. Nice little cold winter afternoon. Get inside of Hinkle Fieldhouse then. Noon on Saturday. IU on the road, Purdue on the road, Butler at home this
All right,
weekend.
let's give him some details on all that good stuff, Caleb.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
Kevin, you're right, because Butler hosts Georgetown at noon tomorrow. There's no conflict with the Indiana Pacers, and so you will hear Butler basketball live right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan when they take on the Hoyas. Pacers are off until tomorrow night. They'll be at home against Atlanta. Indiana's won 2 of their last 3 after coming back from that 14-point deficit in the fourth quarter against Chicago the other night. And as we pointed out about an hour ago this time, Kevin, relatively healthy at this point in time. Probably the healthiest they've been since the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah, so they'll actually have a practice today. It's one of the rare practices over the course of an NBA season, but yesterday was off. Today they'll practice. Tomorrow, like you said, Jeff, Atlanta. They'll have the I want to say it's Rockets and Jazz Monday, Tuesday. That's a back-to-back on that. But yeah, outside of Obi Toppin, we'll kind of await an update on that. This is the healthiest they've been all year.
All right, so they will be playing tomorrow night, and you'll hear that one live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. College basketball over the weekend, Indiana at UCLA. That'll be tomorrow night. Also tomorrow, Notre Dame plays at Syracuse. I feel a Notre Dame win coming on, Kevin. There you go. You went positive today? I feel a win coming on here.
You don't mean that.
I do feel the win. Like, if they're not going to beat Syracuse right now, they're in big trouble.
A road game in the ACC?
Where are their wins coming from right now?
What do we call that? Some air conditioning dome now? It's no longer the
Carrier?
I don't know.
Is it the
what
Carrier
it
Dome? Is that what it
It's-
is? What it is?
It's what
Yeah.
it used to be. I don't think it is anymore.
All right. See, I tried to say something nice, and he will not have it, Caleb. He'll not have it. Sunday, Purdue plays at Maryland. No football this weekend unless you count all the festivities around the Pro Bowl game. Super Bowl is a week from Sunday. The Patriots announced yesterday they'll be wearing all white. The Seahawks will be wearing blue uniforms. Also, the Eagles not going to hire Jim Bob Cooter as their offensive coordinator, but the Giants are going to interview Alex Tanney, the quarterback coach for the Colts. So one of those two guys will probably still be the offensive coordinator, but Jim Bob, is he in the mix at all for either the Vegas or the Arizona job?
No,
I
not
didn't
the
think so.
head
Yeah.
jobs there. I believe Jim Bob Cooter's also interviewing with New York. I think I saw that as well. Not only Alex Tanney, who, again, I don't know if Colts fans really realize his role. Basically, passing game specialist, passing game coordinator. Most NFL staffs have adopted, that sort of title here within the last 5 to 10 years. So, young dude. Actually was, kind of that third quarterback for a lot of teams in his career. Yeah, that would be my assumption. If Jim Bob Cooter were to get some sort of coordinator position and call the plays elsewhere in the NFL, I would think Alex Tanney would get promoted. You got Tony Soprano Jr. as your O-line coach, Tom Manning, their tight ends coach, I know is another person a lot of people respect in the business. Called plays, I think, at Iowa State for Brock Purdy, if I remember correctly. So those are a couple of other names to keep an eye on.
The Atlanta Falcons have hired former Chicago Bears assistant general manager Ian Cunningham as their new general manager as Matt Ryan tries to reshape that football team there. Any thoughts on any of the coordinators or coaches that we've had so far? We've got John Harbaugh in New York, Kevin Stefanski in Atlanta, Jeff Hafley in Miami, Robert Saleh in Tennessee, Jesse Mender at Baltimore, Mike McCarthy in Pittsburgh, Joe Brady moves up from OC to coach in Buffalo. Todd Monken announced this week as the head coach Cleveland. Vegas and Arizona are the only two spots still open. Who has won the coaching carousel right now, do you think?
So who's getting these last two jobs? Is it Clint Kubiak?
It feels like both teams are waiting on Clint Kubiak right now.
Well, who's the other going to get?
I don't have any idea.
How did it go, Kevin, when the Colts hired Steichen? I can't remember. Did they announce it before the Super Bowl, or was it kind of leaked?
No, the Josh McDaniels PTSD, they were not announcing anything. I believe they had one final interview. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think these teams can talk to Kubiak, for example,
Yes.
Seattle's OC, this weekend. I think you're allowed to do that. I believe the Colts did that with Steichen. That was kind of the final. And then they kept it as hush-hush as they could until that I believe he was announced the Tuesday after the Super Bowl, if memory serves me there. Yeah, I get that it's weird, but I don't remember two openings still with Super Bowl week here. I don't remember that. By the way, did I see correctly? This is the least likely Super Bowl in the history of the NFL. Did I see that? Did you guys see that?
As far as starting from preseason odds? Or?
Yeah, basically you had the Patriots were 20th in preseason odds. The Seahawks were 18th in preseason odds. We've never had a Super Bowl with two teams in the bottom half of preseason odds make it to the Super Bowl.
And it feels like we're in churn, too. I know that Patrick Mahomes missed a lot of the season because of that knee injury, but it didn't look like Kansas City was going anywhere even before he got hurt. And with a changing of the guard, it just felt halfway through the season like it was wide open, like anybody could have done it. It makes you wonder what would have happened should Daniel Jones have stayed healthy. Makes you wonder because they had been rolling. No question. Anything else you want to point out? I know in IndyCar we had said that Tim Cindrich is back working for Team Penske. He will be the strategist for Scott McLaughlin. All three of the guys that were fired after failed tech inspections for the Penske team following the Indy 500 are now back working in IndyCar.
Yeah, did we mention who IU and Purdue are playing? IU at UCLA. Yep. That's 5 o'clock coming up. UCLA has been playing pretty good ball here over the last couple of weeks. So I think anytime you make the trip out west, you think, hey, can you get a split? 2 Quad 1 road opportunities for Indiana. So great chance to add to what they did, of course, Tuesday night against Purdue. And speaking of the Boilers, they are at Maryland. Maryland is horrific. Purdue fans are nervous. Not maybe about that game, about their team in general. So 1 o'clock Sunday, CBS.
One other quick thing. Did you see that Josh Allen had surgery on a foot? On one of his feet.
Yeah, he was hobbling around yesterday at the
right
Joe
foot.
Brady press conference.
He was on crutches with his right foot in a walking boot following surgery Monday. in Birmingham, Alabama. The surgery was done on a broken bone in his foot, the fifth metatarsal. He said it stemmed from an older incident that he aggravated in a Week 16 win over the Browns, but he didn't miss any playing time due to injury, though the reigning MVP described it as painful.
Caleb, are we approaching a fifth set here of Joker and Sinner down under?
I think so, man. I think we are.
Joker's
Again,
up 5-3 in the fourth.
If you don't usually watch tennis and you're at work, it's a Friday, man. You can take some time to flip this on, and it's sports. It's awesome.
Mute them, listen to us.
That's correct.
Right?
All right.
And I said at the start of the show, would this match end before our show ended? We are approaching that not being the case, which is awesome.
It's so awesome.
Right now, Djokovic leads 5-4. He is on serve. He will be serving for the fourth set when they get done with their little crossover there. That's what's happening in the world of sports. Thad Matta is the head basketball coach of the Butler Bulldogs, and he joins us next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Center's not going to give up that fourth set quietly. You're listening to the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen, Jeff Rickard, James Boyd out under the weather again today. I hope he's feeling a lot better and gets back to joining us on Monday. Right now, Djokovic leads Center in the fourth set at the Australian Open 5-4, but he is down 2-1, and they have gone to deuce in that game. So that's what's going on there. We'll keep an eye on that. And we'll see if it does indeed finish before we finish today, Kevin. They may have a whole full set to go before this is all said and done. In the meantime, we're happy to be joined by the head coach of the Butler Bulldogs, Thad Matta, joining us as he does every week here on The Fan. It's good to talk to him again. You into tennis at all? Like when the majors play or anything like that? Those guys are amazing athletes, Thad. What do you think of guys like that?
You know, I can't say I'm really big into tennis. I think John McEnroe was one of my favorites. That's about where I cut out of tennis. So
I get it. You got things to do. You're about
Exactly.
This thing about basketball coaches and football coaches at the college level. It's almost all-consuming sometimes, isn't it?
No, it really is. It really, really is. And the hard part now is we go year round because of our summers we're practicing the summers, that sort of thing. But I will say this in terms of tennis, those guys, women are like incredible athletes.
Yeah.
I have watched. I mean, when those things go for hours, like the intensity and unbelievable. My daughter Allie picked up tennis, and she was telling me how tough it can be, and I'm like, wow. So hats off to them. What is the Australian Open going on?
See, you pay enough attention. You know what's going on.
Yeah, okay. I guess I know a little bit more than I thought I did.
That's the voice of Thad Matta. Could be win number 500 for him coming up tomorrow. It's Butler and Georgetown inside of Hinkle Fieldhouse. Noon tip there. Coach, if we go back to the St. John's game, if I would have told you before the game 6 turnovers, would you have thought the margin would have been what the margin was?
No, and the fact we got to the line 30 times and only made half of them. I mean, it was and let me say this, and I told Coach Patino after the game, I said, if they shoot the ball like that, they got a chance to win it all. I mean, they're as talented of a team as we've gone against in the time I've been here. And the end of the half when they made the 5 straight threes, it was just like, wow, you need some things to happen for you. In terms of that, and the 6 turnovers I could not have been happier with, and like I said, that's a game where you got to make your free throws, and some things got to go well for you. But hopefully we've learned from this, and we get another tough one tomorrow at noon.
So what do you take from that game where you do only turn the ball over 6 times? Because that defense they offer up sometimes was just smothering. It is end to end. In some ways, is there a great lesson for your team? Like, hey, keep doing this and you'll be okay?
Yes and no. I thought that from the standpoint of what they did to us on defense, they took us out with their length. The kid Mitchell on Finley and kind of denied him the ball. And if he ever got a split second, they switched out on him, and they were making it really tough for him to get catches. But just from the standpoint we did, our execution was pretty good. 3 of the 6 turnovers were in the first 4 minutes of the game, and I think defensively, in Georgetown's a little bit like this. They got guys that can really, really make plays, and we challenged some shots that they made, but they made all the ones that we didn't challenge, and we got to do a better job of getting up and getting a hand in the face, that sort of thing.
Again, noon tomorrow, the last Big East opponent Butler's yet to face this season. It'll be Butler and Georgetown inside of Hinkle. Coach, February right around the corner. Do you pay attention to resume talk, net rankings, any of that?
You know what? You do, because you hear about it. I just want to win games, and my focus is more on knowing that none of that matters if we're not playing good basketball. And so that's why I sort of keep all my attention is on us. And we got to win, and we got to play well. And that's my biggest thing. And you can drive yourself nuts saying, "Boy, I hope this team loses. Or I hope this team wins," and all that stuff. I got to take care of what I can take care of.
Is that a conversation you pay attention to, like when assembling a schedule in the offseason? Like you guys had you still have a very nice non-conference resume. How much do you pay attention to some of those, I guess, nerdy numbers that might not mean a whole lot to you in June, but then mean a whole lot when March rolls around?
No, that goes into the thought process of hey, this could be a quad 1, this could be a quad 2, type of win, and you obviously need those games in your non-conference, knowing that your conference slate's going to be as you're going to get what you need there. There's no doubt about that, and like you said, I think we did a pretty good job. The Boise State game was one that. They come back they had on us was a tough one, but I think in terms of everything else, I mean SMU loss was they're a heck of a team right now.
I asked you this about a month ago, and I'll ask you to update it too. Through the course of a college basketball season, especially January going into February, we see a lot of guys make progress with their game. Who's the guy or two on your team right now that just is impressing you? They continue to just get better at this point in time.
Well, I think this Michael Ajayi still is playing at such a high level because he never takes a possession off. And a week ago he kind of hit exhaustion. We were able to give him a couple of days off. I think Finley is obviously playing at a very, very high level. It was good to see Jamie knock down some shots this week from the 3-point line. He did sort of a off stretch for him, but Evan Hayward is coming in, and all these guys, and that's the thing we need. We're a team that needs everybody to play well, not great, consistency over greatness. There's no question about that, but that's something we keep our focus on. We continue to do skill instruction, work with our guys individually, and trying to get them to be the best they can be, and hopefully, as I told them right after the game, hey, this is a long season, and there's teams, you just look at the scores every night, and you're like, ooh, geez, that team didn't have it tonight, or wow, that team really played well. We just got to be consistent with what we do.
No question. Now, you and I are going to be teammates soon, I think.
And
my son, who's a senior in high school right now, I believe is going to be a Butler Bulldog.
Is that right?
Yeah. How about
good.
that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you may be seeing me around more often. Or maybe he says, Dad, stay away. I don't know.
No doubt. What's he going to study? Do you know?
I think marketing, stuff like that. He's looking forward to, but he's getting excited to go to Butler, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, that's great. Great institution, no doubt.
Coach, thanks as always for the time. We appreciate it more than you know, and we can't wait to see how this season continues to develop. I see good things in store for the Butler Bulldogs.
All right, my man. Thank you, guys.
You bet. There's Thad Matta, brought to you by Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus, in business since the year before Hinkle Fieldhouse opened, 1927. Lazy Boy, Indiana-made Smith Brothers Furniture, Stearns & Foster, and, of course, Tempur-Pedic mattresses, free delivery to the entire Indy metro area. But either way, it's worth the drive to Columbus, ThompsonFurniture.net. That's ThompsonFurniture.net. We thank them for supporting our coverage of Butler basketball, and Thad Matta being on every week. It does feel like that team has gotten better since the very beginning of the year, though, doesn't it?
Well, you look at the 6 turnovers the other night. I mean, that is a number. I mean, when you face a Rick Pitino team and you have 6 turnovers, like that, you dream of that the night before the game if you're Thad Matta there. But you lost by 22. And, again, at some point here down the stretch, Butler's got to continue to hold serve. But UConn at home, at Nova, Big East tournament time, certainly on a neutral floor, you're going to have to get, I think, 1 to 2 more if you really want to complete that resume. Obviously, again, you need to take care of tomorrow. That's not much. I mean, that would be a stain on the resume if you were to lose that. So that's kind of the state of the Big East right now. But, yeah, from a ball handling standpoint, Stink Robinson, more on his plate there. Definitely is going to be key for Butler down the stretch.
It's been fun to watch them get better, and hopefully they will, earn their way into a postseason tournament. We'll find out how that goes. But thanks to Thad Matta for stopping by. I will update you as we get ready to go to break here that Jokovic and Sinner have moved into the 5th set now. Sinner won his first game on serve, and Djokovic is serving at 15 all right now. We'll keep you up to date on that. Talk a little bit more about the Pacers and what they've got coming up next as we continue at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Sun's up. You ready to go today, Caleb? A little chilly, but sun's up.
That's a nice sight. Good way to go off into the weekend, seeing the sun come out, and like you guys said at the top of the show, heat wave.
Fan Morning Show, Kevin Bowen. I'm Jeff Rickard. Caleb Zuber in for Mark Dykton today. James Boyd still recovering. He's been under the weather for a day or two, but should be back on Monday. We look forward to that. A lot of people on the fan text line at 239-1070. Kevin, joining our discussion about who should represent the Pacers at the ping pong draw to determine draft order a little bit later on this year after the regular season is done. I think it's right after the regular season is done, first week of the playoffs. They do it right before that.
Mother's Day.
Yeah, Mother's Day. That's
Mother's
right.
Day.
Mother's Day. We're getting a lot of response, too. Somebody said, because Greg had mentioned Bowser, someone who was into that right there. Scott says it has to be Pascal Siakam. He needs the help. DJ in Indy said, let's complete the cycle and get meta world peace. Cost Rezia's chip, but gets us the top spot to get the Pacers' first championship. Talk about a wild series of events.
I'm in on that.
A lot of people saying, just shut your mouths about TJ. He's going to be a Pacer for life. I hope he is.
Yeah, didn't Kevin Pritchard say that on Twitter earlier this year that they will not be trading TJ McConnell 6 days away?
Yeah.
We'll continue to monitor the Giannis Antetokounmpo domino because I think typically when you have players of that ilk potentially traded, you kind of almost wait on that first, and then the rest of the other trades happen after that. So, again, Pacers will practice today. They will have the Hawks inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse tomorrow. It's about as healthy as they've been in a while. We'll see if Obi Toppin is nearing a comeback at all. But few home games here before the trade deadline. Are we looking at the final games of Benedict Mather in a Pacers uniform?
That would be the guy if they're going to make a trade. I don't know what else that other teams are going to realistically get back at this point in time, and what kind of center is out there to be obtained at this point in time, because that's really what you'd be looking for.
By the way, final results on that poll from yesterday, guys, are in.
Yeah, what do we got?
When I checked this morning, of course, I made the prediction it was going to be a 60-40 no from Pacers fans. We were right there this morning. I gave it a retweet on the Fan Morning Show Twitter page. We got some more votes in kind of at the buzzer. And it finished at a 65.9% people saying no and 34.1% of people saying yes on the trade of Pascal Siakam, Benedict Mather, and a first-round pick for Giannis.
65%. Does that surprise you? You said 60.
I said
so
60.
You're right there.
I mean, I was hovering. So,
and again, I'm curious how much of that is just the general Giannis disdain. Like I don't know what a comparable player would be, but insert some comparable player in the Western Conference. Would Pacers fans be more? Are they bothered by John Halliburton? Are they bothered by Ballgate? Are they?
Wes had said for representation, how about the staffer that stole the game ball from Giannis?
Throw them up there, right?
Yeah, let's go.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Indiana UCLA tomorrow. That's out west. I would assume a lot of the Cream and Crimson out there in LA to be inside of Pauley Pavilion for that one. I saw Joe Lenardi, speaking of bracketology, he has Indiana as his last team in the field currently. So, again, Zach Osterman covers IU for the Star. He always says, I don't talk about bracketology till Valentine's Day. I can kind of respect that, but I know how some people are, and they pay attention to that even earlier. So, opportunity, UCLA coming up tomorrow. It's at USC. That's a late one Tuesday night. That's a 10 o'clocker. Those are two quad one road opportunities. And, out there, the Big Ten has, seen a little bit of struggle. And UCLA is starting to play better. But, man, what a massive, massive chance here for Indiana. And it's not, I don't call it house money. You're the last team in the field. Nothing's house money at this point. But the fact that you beat Purdue on Tuesday, you can afford just a split. Had you lost to Purdue, you would be thinking, oh, boy, at some point you got to make that up. At some point you got to get a sweep somewhere on the schedule here. But I think 6 quad one chances the rest of the season. They'll get 2 of them here coming up out west.
Yeah, man, a good chance for Purdue to start getting back on track, too. I know they've hit a little bit of a tough spot here, but they'll be playing at Maryland. It's a road game. And it's always tough on a road game, but you would think that that's an opportunity for them to kind of get themselves right a little bit and start getting back to who they think they can be.
It's not a must win, right? And just in terms of feeling good about yourself, if you just categorize it as that, I feel like you can't drop this game if you're Purdue.
Where do you stand on it's good to deal with adversity and adversity is actually a concern? Where do you guys stand on that? Like, I'd say one of the bigger times that's happened for a championship team in our market was like go back to the Colts Super Bowl team. And in the month of December that year, the Jaguars ran all over the Colts. I mean, it was DEFCON. It was unbelievable. North of 300 rushing yards in a game. Again, that was a couple weeks before the playoffs started. Again, is that adversity or is that this is a real problem and no player's locker room meeting is going to solve it?
I think this is the line this Sunday for Purdue, right? It's like, okay, you've dropped 3 in a row. You lost to your rival. You had a tough, West Coast end of that trip. And you played a really good Illinois team, but it's like if you lose to Maryland, then the alarm bells are going off, right? And so I think this is the line. Once you cross over, it goes from adversity to like real issue. And so I think just finding a way to win any type of way Sunday, I think is important for them.
Wins are always good. And to the question of when's adversity good for your team, when's it bad? When you overcome it. I mean, sometimes get mired down in the adversity and they never quite get out of it, whether it's something that's happening behind the scenes, where it's something that's happening where they're not taking care of the basketball, where they're not in the case of what Matt has been complaining about lately, a team that was a really good rebounding team the first part of the year hadn't been a great rebounding team the last couple of games. And so
do you view this as adversity or concern?
I'm still on concern right now, but it's not adversity, excuse me, but it can turn into a concern, if they lose Sunday. I just think that's a game you got to take care of business. You can't lose that game.
No, you're right. There's nothing I can argue against that. But again, if they're going through adversity, here's the thing about adversity too. Sometimes your team just is what it is. Sometimes there isn't anything to overcome. We look at this team at the very beginning with Purdue, and they have Braden Smith, who's an all-world point guard, and we liked having Trey Kaufman-Renn come back. He hasn't quite been himself a lot lately. I thought he was better in the last game, but he hasn't quite been right. Fletcher Lawyer hasn't been quite right. And so to your point, Kevin, when does adversity become just the reality of what your team is?
Yeah, and they are a different team than last year. Last year they had the option to downsize a little bit with some interchangeable wings in Cam Heide and Miles Colvin. That doesn't really exist with the makeup of this team. I know CJ Cox is a 6'2", 6'3" guy and a great defender, but they don't have much in that kind of 6'5", 6'6" realm of dudes that can help you when the other team presents that type of personnel. And now we've seen, how did they get back in the game a little bit the other night? Certainly Indiana missed free throws, but they really just kind of benched Oscar Clough and went with Trey Kaufman-Renn as the lone big with Jack Venter, being out there. So I think that's the difficult question for Matt Painter right now is, how much do you continue to ride Clough and Kaufman-Renn together on the floor? There are a lot of positives offensively, but, when you start getting on that defensive end of the floor and teams start ball screening you and you start getting into switches, it's been ugly quick here lately.
All right, coming up in a minute, we'll turn our attention back to the National Football League. Lots of changes with coaches, coordinators, whatnot. We don't get player movement for another little more than a month yet. But what has happened so far that affects the Colts in the AFC and the AFC South in particular? We'll talk about some of those things next as we continue at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's always a little bit interesting to me. Kevin Bowen, Jeff Rickard here this morning. James Boyd still off recovering, being under the weather a little bit. Caleb Zuber in for Mark Dykton. Always interesting to me when in the National Football League you'll have a coordinator who goes from one job to another. And I'm thinking about Jim Bob Cooter, who's been interviewing for a couple of offensive coordinator jobs around the league. Is that just bargaining to maybe get a little bit of a raise where you are? But it's always odd to me that you want to leave the position that you're in if you haven't been fired and go to another team. It's always interesting to me.
Well, he's not calling the plays.
Yeah, and I get that.
I think it's pretty easy. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I think in this league, there are coordinators that call plays and there are coordinators that not. And I think large part is people view the coordinators that are not calling plays in a different light and on a lower scale. I think there's more responsibility. Owners are going to be more likely. I mean, think about it like this. Jim Bob Cooter, Jeff, we have 10 openings here in the NFL this cycle?
Mm-hmm.
How many head coaching interviews did Jim Bob Cooter get?
I don't think he got any, did he?
0.
Yeah.
And that is as an offensive coordinator of an offense that had really nice success this season. And so you would think if he was calling the plays, guarantee you he would have had multiple interviews. I mean, hell, these teams now interview 12, 15 guys for these jobs. I mean, you probably had upwards of 50, 60 interview candidates around the NFL this cycle. Obviously, there's some overlap with some of these openings here, but yeah, this is not to me like a lateral move or anything like that. No, you would have more responsibility on your plate. I think people are always going to view the Colts offense as Shane Steichen's baby, whereas if he went to New York to call plays, he'd be viewed, I think, in a much more positive light with more responsibility.
And you mentioned the 10 coaching vacancies. Think about that. Turnover with almost a third of the league this time around, Kevin. Coming off a year in which it feels like that it was wide open for a title. You mentioned a little while ago that this is the most unlikely Super Bowl we've ever had based on what expectations were at the beginning of the year for both the Seahawks and the Patriots at this point in time.
Do you think the two best teams in the NFL play in the NFC title game?
Probably. At this point in
That's
time,
what I
the
think.
two best that are playing right now.
You still pretty adamant. You said earlier you think Seattle will blow them out. You still pretty adamant Seattle
I
is
do.
going to roll?
If Seattle plays the way I've seen them play the last 3 weeks, I saw, and I know it turns out the shoulder's a little bit sore, but I saw for the first time Drake May not be in complete control of a football game. And so I wonder if his inexperience gets preyed upon by Seattle. Has had, I know that they gave up some stuff against the Rams, but everybody has been giving stuff up against the Rams. But prior to that defense has looked nasty. Drake May did not have a great day against the Browns. He made 1 or 2 plays when he needed to, but that defense was pretty much keeping him in check.
Any Mother Nature impacting that?
Second half, yeah, but it's not like he was lighting them up in the first half. The only reason they scored that touchdown that they got was because of the huge mistake that Stidham made down on his own end.
Sure.
I think the side of the ball to watch, or I guess the offense-defense matchup to watch is the Seahawks offense versus the Patriots defense. I think that's going to be interesting to me. Everybody, of course, has waited all year for Sam Darnold to turn back to his old self, but I'm just not sure it's going to happen. But I think Vrabel is going to have them ready to play. So I think that if they can keep it low scoring, obviously that's the path to victory for New England.
Jeff, I don't know if you caught Mike Chappell and JMV yesterday or read his piece. Any thoughts on his opinions and not voting for Bill Belichick to go into the Hall of Fame?
We had talked about this in the first hour, and you had mentioned there isn't anybody, and I agree with you. There's no one I respect more in this town covering the Colts than Mike Chappell. Not that he's a good person, he is an incredibly conscientious reporter and writer and has thoughtful, good reasons for why he didn't vote, why he essentially voted Bill Belichick not to get in, and really because he wanted Robert Kraft to get in. And I think one of the things is I read somebody else who had voted not against, but did not put Bill Belichick in. There are a couple of guys on that list that this is their last shot of getting in. And some of the people are like, well, I know Belichick is a Hall of Famer. He's getting in. But these guys who I think deserve to be in, if I don't vote for them now, they're never going to have another chance again. I think there's some of that going on. I do think deep down there are people who are like, Spygate, Deflategate. This guy had messy fingerprints all over everything. I don't know that he deserves it. And it's a big deal to get in as a first ballot Hall of Famer.
So why do we vote Robert Kraft in?
He was in charge of he was the man in charge of.
Like, where does the
biggest
cheating umbrella stop? I guess would be my question.
Well,
like, so is Tom
think
Brady not a first ballot Hall of Famer?
To me, and I see the argument you're making. To me, if Bill Belichick's not a first ballot Hall of Famer as the head coach, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, it's obvious. And yeah, you now have to say that, well, then Tom Brady's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know if Robert Kraft is going to give enough votes or not, but he was the guy in charge of the greatest dynasty.
I think
of
the
Super
belief
Bowl
is
era.
Kraft is getting in. We'll wait official announcement next week, but I believe that is the assumption. He voted. Chap mentioned his piece, and again, I really appreciate Chap not only having a 25-minute conversation with John about it yesterday, but also writing the piece that he did. I think transparency on this and some candor is awesome and needed. And part of me thinks when it comes to this selection process, which is very complicated, from what I understand, you have a 9-person selection committee. So they are in charge of getting the people on the discussion list. And then the 50 Hall of Fame voters take that list and pare it down. My thought is, if you want to examine the cheating element or the suspension element, again, I don't know. I mean, there's obviously some blurred lines of some of that stuff. To me, I almost view the selection committee as the group that says, this person's not even going to be on our ballot. I view the voters as, when you get to that part of the process, you're just strictly debating resumes. Like, that's it. What did they do on the field in their respective NFL careers, whether it's a coach, whether it's a player? Here in our own backyard, we don't have a lot of this with Colts players. The one is probably Robert Mathis. And I know it's a touchy subject, but Robert Mathis led the NFL in sacks. In the very next offseason, he got busted for PEDs. So do we ignore it? Do we not? He came out with a statement that said, it was fertility issues. Do you believe, where is the line drawn with this? Mathis has gotten decently far into the Hall of Fame candidacy, and we don't know this, but is Mike Chappell bringing that up in the room when he presents Robert Mathis? Is Caleb Zuver, the voter in New England, raising his hand and saying, hey, man, you brought up cheating when it came to Bill Belichick. Why are you not bringing it up for Robert Mathis? Is it apples to apples? Is it not apples to apples? I think all of this is very murky in how you do it. I almost look at it as, if you're the selection committee, maybe you have a rule. If you have been suspended and or fined at any point in your NFL career, you don't show up on the first ballot. Maybe that's the road you have to go down. Because Chap said it in his piece. He called Belichick arguably the most accomplished coach in NFL history. Well, right there tells you everything you need to know.
But you also can't tell the story of the National Football League in the Super Bowl era without Bill Belichick. You can't do it.
Sure. But again, I would argue you could do the same about Adam Vinatieri, and he didn't go in.
He's going to get in. I think there's a really good chance he gets in this time.
Boy, I hope you're right. But again, with how they've changed this process, Breeze and Fitzgerald are slam dunk.
Those guys are in, but I think Vinatieri's in that next list.
But what about the math?
I think
I mean, explain the math to me on that then.
They can only put 5 in, correct?
No, that's what's changed. We are done with these 5-man classes. I think that's what confuses people. I don't think people fully understand. In the last year,
you have to get 40 of the 50 votes, is what you have to get.
And you can only vote for 3. The Mike Chappells of the world only get to vote for 3. So just do that math. 40 of 50 is obviously a very difficult number to achieve across a room when you only get to vote for 3. You would think Breeze and Fitzgerald are going to get pretty darn close to 50 out of 50, which, again, this is where it gets finicky, because then there's going to be people in the room, Jeff, and you brought it up a few minutes ago. Well, I'm going to vote for this guy because I know that guy's going to get in anyways.
Which gets to be dangerous because then you start that backlog, and then you start comparing guys that should be in, and now there's a whole bunch of them.
And how many people in the room are thinking that way?
Yeah.
You're Jeff from Denver. I'm Kevin from Indy. I'm sitting here saying, yeah, I'm not going to vote for Drew Brees because I know Jeff over there from Denver is going to vote for Drew Brees, and I want, to put my votes elsewhere because I feel like they have a deserving chance, but they're not going to get the exact number. It just, to me, it's very, very murky.
Yeah, I just feel like if there is a third person in, there's Vinatieri's right there with a couple of guys that I think would get that necessary amount of votes. But here's the thing is, they're already backlogged, and then they made it harder to get in, which I'm not mad about it being harder to get in because I still think there are a lot of guys that are still in the Hall of Very Great. But I mean, who had a better, more distinguished, longer career with more success than Adam Vinatieri did?
I can't think of one. I think he's the greatest kicker ever. But
it's not even just about the longevity and the building of stats and just adding to it. He made huge kicks at huge times during his career.
Yeah. No, it's true. I think the most fascinating part about this whole saga, I think you guys are bringing up some great points, but I just wanted to add, we have gotten to the stage where Bill Belichick is a sympathetic figure. That is pretty crazy. I mean, and rightfully so, but I never thought that I would ever in my life see that because he was my least favorite coach in the world. And I think I share that sentiment with a lot of people. Yet here we are feeling bad for Bill Belichick that he didn't get in.
I wouldn't go so far as to say I feel bad. I think he should be in, but it hasn't bothered me.
Fair.
It's insane. You know who we have not heard from, though? And I'm sure Bill Belichick is like, don't say anything. Nothing from Jordan Hudson on this.
Yeah, nothing.
Thought there'd be a podcast or something.
I'm sure she's trying to find out something about all the voters. Maybe Mike Chappell will get a call from Jordan Hudson and asking why Mike didn't vote for Bill Belichick.
Somebody posted yesterday something about the fact that so Bill has to wait one more year to get in the Hall of Fame. He waited 49 or 47 years for his girlfriend to be born. So he's good at waiting.
My goodness.
That's a great line.
Yeah.
Oh, man. They're never short of something to talk about, though, with the Patriots and Belichick and things of that nature.
That's also the fascinating part. It's the story that just keeps on giving. This Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick rift, that has just persisted throughout, since the breakup, really. It just keeps coming back around.
We've been talking about Novak Djokovic and what he's doing right now. And he is up 4-3 in the fifth set. Now, they're both on serve, so nobody's broken anybody yet in the fifth. But the man...
He might do it.
This is not a spring chicken.
He might do it.
I love this.
How old is he?
He was born... he turned pro in 2003. He was born in May of 1987.
Same... or he's 38. I think that's the same age as Kevin Durant, right? We were talking about his age earlier.
Yeah. He's 38... And he's pushing one of the top players in the world to the very, very brink at another major. How insane is that?
This kind of, I know Tom Brady was just brought up, but I thought a lot about this with, we talked yesterday about LeBron. I think a lot of these guys, it's just a competitive spirit that makes them different. They just don't want to leave it. They will, the process, they love it too much. You got to be a little kind of crazy to be doing it for this long at this high of a level. I mean, this is one of the best stories in sports is seeing a guy who has been here for years try to get one last championship, one last major. Those are some of the best stories, and who knows? This might not be his last crack at a Grand Slam.
Think about this though. This would be, or he's already won 24 majors. This would be his 11th Australian Open if he finds a way to pull this out. And this is, by the way, today's a semifinal. I'm just pointing that out. Whoever wins this one today still got Alcaraz to look forward to. But can you imagine being 38, coming up on 39 in a few months?
Be crazy.
And you're still playing with the very, very
How old
best
are you,
in the
Kevin?
world.
I will be 37 in September.
Wow. So there you go. You could, in another world, you could be at the down under right now, going toe-to-toe with
Yeah,
your
exactly.
contemporary.
I know.
In another world,
Yeah.
you'd be his younger brother.
I was a good Mario tennis player back in the day. Yeah, it's just wild. Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, all in the same sort of. I mean, what? I don't even know the sport comparable. LeBron, Jordan, Djokovic, Jokic. I don't. I really don't even know how you would compare that here. What time? What time is it down under? Are we?
That's a good question.
Because the first semifinal went 5 sets. For those that haven't been paying attention, that was during the, hours of us and REM sleep. Carlos Alcaraz went 5 sets there. So
it's 1:14 in the morning in Melbourne right now. That's awesome.
Remember the old late night Andre Agassi, Jimmy Connors times at the U.S. Open? You might be too young, but I mean, America would stay up on the East Coast late into the night, midnight, 1 o'clock, man. It was exciting stuff. But that's what we have going on right now because we got no football. Are you a Pro Bowl guy? Do you like all the festivities? Will you be watching that, Caleb? Because I just don't have time for it.
Dear Lord. Are we bringing up the Pro Bowl?
I just don't want my guys to get hurt. I don't want anybody to get hurt in these things.
Well, they don't do anything anymore.
No, but I mean,
there's no game.
But remember, they had that. They took away. There was a football game in the sand that caused injuries not long ago.
Is that true? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't. If you watch the Pro Bowl, I mean, we're talking a lot about like psychotic athletes that are crazy people.
I mean, isn't it like dodgeball now? And
Yes.
like the kickers do tic-tac-toe and the quarterbacks try to hit movie. I mean, it feels like I'm watching the state fair.
I wish James was here because I make fun of him a lot for watching a lot of NFL slop, some of those trash standalone primetime games. I wonder if he's watching the Pro Bowl. I'm genuinely curious if he will be tuned in. I don't know.
Well, I suppose if it's on TV and I'm not doing anything else, I might take a peek at it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it.
Monday, you should do a whole segment on what your thoughts from the Pro Bowl are. I think people would love that.
It's not Sunday, right?
Is it not?
I thought the Pro Bowl moved to Super Bowl week, right? Isn't it like the Thursday of the Super Bowl? I thought that was like part of the how do we try and drum more attention around it.
Wow, Kevin, you're right. I think it's so I'm seeing here it's a 7-on-7 flag football game on February 3rd.
Right, which is Wednesday or Thursday, something like that?
Tuesday.
Oh, wow, even earlier in Super Bowl week.
So good call, Kevin. You're dialed into this.
Andrew Luck's final pass, right, occurred during the Pro Bowl?
Oh, man, yeah.
A rainy Pro Bowl, if I remember correctly. That's probably when they said enough was enough on this.
It's just a brutal game. I don't know how you do it. Even look at the National Hockey League All-Star game. Those guys kind of have an agreement that there will be no hitting in this game. That's why it's always like 9-7 or something like that.
I know in the NHL they do like a 3-on-3 like type thing, and they split it up by like divisions, and that's how they do it. I know that's pretty unique.
Pretty cool. It's fun.
But I mean, is the only good All-Star game, I guess, the MLB that has integrity. I mean, I don't know. Even that, sometimes you're like,
that's the closest.
That.
But that by its nature, don't you think, Kevin? That's the game you're going to get the closest replication of what's going on because it's still pitcher against hitter.
Yeah,
right?
You can't fake that. You can't fake that.
Now grooving one in there about 75. Nice little first BP of spring training here.
Yeah. Can't fake it.
All right, let's check it down and tell you what's going on this weekend.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
Indiana Pacers back at the Fieldhouse tomorrow night. They'll be at home against the Atlanta Hawks. Working on a nice stretch where, Kevin, they won 2 of their last 3, and they played decent basketball, and they're relatively healthy at this point in time.
Yeah, they'll actually have a practice later today, and then Atlanta coming up tomorrow night, Rockets, Jazz, back-to-back Monday, Tuesday, and, of course, the big talk right now is what exactly will the trade deadline look like coming up Thursday afternoon, and we should get Pascal Siakam All-Star Reserve news here. I believe that's over the weekend. They will announce that.
All right, so that's going to be on the Fan at 6:30 airtime, and then the tip comes your way at 7 o'clock. College basketball tomorrow. Butler will host Georgetown. That one starts at noon if you want to get over to the Fieldhouse. Otherwise, you can watch that one on TNT True TV True TV is one of those channels I watch once a year, usually during the NCAA tournament.
It's TNT, right? Isn't it tomorrow?
It's TNT and True TV.
Oh, wow, both. I figured those channels were separate. Brian Anderson, Grant Hill. So that's quite the duo you're going to get there for Butler, Georgetown. First time they have met this season. Indiana at UCLA. That's 5 o'clock. That's on the Cock coming up on Saturday. Important, certainly to build the road aspect to the resume there. And UCLA has been playing pretty good ball here as of late. And then to round it out from a local standpoint, Purdue and Maryland, 1 o'clock on Sunday. I think much more about Purdue than the opponent in that one.
Where can we watch some of those games again?
Purdue, Maryland is CBS. Butler, Georgetown, you said TNT and True.
Yeah.
And then IU's on the Cock.
Just checking that out. So now you're up to date on college basketball this weekend. Super Bowl will be a week from Sunday. The only thing we've really learned so far, the Patriots will wear all white. Seahawks will wear blue. They'll all generally start touching down Sunday and Monday over in San Francisco and then head on up to Santa Clara for the Super Bowl. And the Eagles apparently will not be hiring Jim Bob Cooter as their offensive coordinator. Sean Mannion's the guy that got that job, former quarterback at Oregon State. I remember him up there.
Yeah, definitely do. And again, that is a play caller. Nick Sirianni initially did that and then passed it off to Shane Steichen. And Shane Steichen, of course, the rest is history here. So sounds like the Giants with John Harbaugh have some interest in Jim Bob Cooter. Alex Tanney, another Colts assistant. So, February is about to be here. I still think we are probably a couple weeks away from the full coaching dominoes to be done. Usually, honestly, it's kind of right around the combine is when that stuff gets fully complete. So we will watch that for any Colts news with Jim Bob Cooter and Alex Tanney.
I'm just going to public service announcement. Do not roll your seat back, Kevin, because your glasses dropped right behind the back wheel there. So don't do that.
Thank you. Got him.
Don't do that. All right. We can also tell you tough news from the skiing circuit. Lindsey Vonn crashed in her last race before the Olympics yesterday. She had limped off the course with a left knee problem at the World Cup in Switzerland. That race was getting nasty. Caleb, they canceled the whole thing. 3 of the first 6 racers go off course. She's been dominating. She's got a couple of wins already, 3 podiums in World Cup action so far. And getting ready for the Olympics at the age of 41, man, I hope that there's nothing wrong there because to see her in downhill and then see Michaela Schifrin do some of the other stuff, that's gonna be outstanding to watch.
We'll have to get Zach Kiefer maybe to report on that since he's going out to the Olympics out there. If you didn't listen to him yesterday, check it out on the podcast feed. But no, we'll see. I'm excited for the Olympics, but yeah, hopefully everybody can show up there when everything starts healthy.
Kevin, down in Melbourne, Australia right now in the 5th set, Djokovic has a break over Sinner and leads 5-3 down under. It's amazing.
This is going to happen. So we're going to get Alcaraz versus the Joker, and this is 3:30 a.m. Sunday morning.
I will be there.
Don't write off Sinner yet. He's pretty
I can
good.
picture myself in Briscoe Gucker A516. This would have been now, I guess, I'm 36, did I say earlier? So 18 years ago, something like that. Getting home from maybe a long night of underage activities I shouldn't be taking part in. And sitting on the futon, probably at this point of the semester, our 4th futon of the year, and watching some sort of Federer Nadal down under. And I think I made it about a couple service games, and then it was time to hit rem.
I can't even fathom Kevin Bowen not abiding by these strict rules of whatever you were violating back in
Peer
college.
pressure is a dangerous game.
Was it just the beer?
So who are we rooting for?
Was it just the beer? Was it Keggers?
Joker or Alcaraz? What do we want?
I'm always in for the old guy.
You don't want the career Grand Slam to be accomplished?
Here's the thing. Here's what's crazy, Kevin. I'm going to put this in perspective for you. You said 2008.
Yeah,
okay.
That sounds right.
Okay, I know you're throwing out there as just a guesstimate. Guess who played in the Australian Open final and won in 2008? Novak Djokovic.
Was it really Joker?
And so here we are.
That's absolutely crazy.
He is gonna be back. It looks like right now, although Sinner, holding serve. He's holding
tough,
serve.
Man, yeah.
So Joker's gonna have to serve it out here. But that's crazy. I'm rooting for
me,
Alcaraz, but that's
to me,
crazy.
the longevity angle of whether it's Joker, whether it's frankly Tom Brady, obviously Tiger's longevity. He had the 2019 Masters. When you can span multiple decades, eras, etc. I mean, Alcaraz was what? in diapers when that happened. It just truly, truly amazing what he continues to do.
Now, I will say this. It looks like Sinner's going to win this serve. He's up 40-love right now. And as gutty and as amazing and as sharp as Djokovic has been, he has had to fend off in almost every service lately a couple of break points. So this one is not quite over yet.
Well, I can't wait to have a conclusion to this. Hopefully by the end of the show. I guess not hopefully. I'd love to see that. They can play forever.
This could be one of those they just play, and I think they have tie break though. In the fifth set, do they go strict tie break, or do you have to win by 2 in the
I
Australia?
think it's 10-point tie break if it's 6-6 after the fifth set.
All right.
Not 6-7.
Not 6-7. That is correct.
Every teenager who is listening to us just turn the radio off right there.
Final hour of the week. I mean, you
Yeah,
gotta throw it in
it's
there.
all good. All right, so in a moment, they've finished up that game. It's 5-4. Djokovic serving to try and get to the finals of the Australian Open while we go to break here. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Getting down to it, Melbourne. Djokovic has a match point at 40-30. Trying to close this one out. And I'm thinking he's been taking a lot of time in between serves and really thinking about what he's doing and how he's going to go. When you've won 24 majors, like, is there any nervousness in you at all in this moment? Oh, I got to close it out here. Do you think that even enters his mind? Or is he just flat playing tennis?
Yeah, he always seems cool, calm, collected. Cool as the other side of the pillow, right? To quote the great Stuart Scott.
Got a 30 for 30 coming out on Stu, I think.
We might have to make a 30 for 30 about this match. Pretty special. Sinner tied it up. I wanted to ask you guys a question about the Super Bowl. I guess I mentioned this yesterday, but the Colts, and I was talking about like team building and how Seahawks and Patriots represent two ways to build a team, two ways to get there, two different models. And I feel like the Colts, and this is the question I want to ask you guys, did the Colts try to do what the Seahawks have done?
Yeah.
Or did they try to do what the Patriots have done, or a combination of both? Because they drafted a quarterback and hired a head coach in the same offseason. What would you guys say? But obviously with the Seahawks, Sam Darnold gets brought in and then they take off from there, which, of course, the Colts have had the veteran quarterback carousel for years.
It's a fascinating question because, in a way, the Colts have done both, right?
Right.
Because they brought in Anthony Richardson, and he was going to hopefully be the right guy, and they were going to build around him. That hasn't worked out. He's still on the roster. But it's interesting to me, Kevin, that in the context of that question, both guys on your roster, both quarterbacks, one was brought in kind of the way the Seahawks have done with Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones, and the other one was hopefully going to be the guy you drafted forever. So I don't know. I would always probably prefer to draft the guy and have him be your guy. But, if Sam Darnold continues to play at the level he's playing on what? This would be his fourth team that he's on at this point in time. So he went to Carolina for a minute.
It might be his fifth because he was in San Francisco for a season.
Right.
So
yeah,
I don't know. Kevin, I think it's actually kind of funny considering where the Colts started this offseason. You have the quarterback battle, and you guys covered that extensively. And then they kind of both represent the Patriots and the Seahawks in a way with their quarterback positions. I think that's kind of a funny end to the season. Just looking at it as a Colts fan, just kind of and where we go from here.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, the Seattle blueprint, because, they had a couple of really interesting moves over the last 12 months. First off, I don't think it was like a slam dunk that all of a sudden you move on from Geno Smith for was Sam Darnold viewed as some immense upgrade? I don't know if we had that conversation as much as it's played out. They also traded DK Metcalf. That's not a move we really talk about much, and yet I would argue their wideout group is maybe as deep as any in the NFL right now. And they traded for Rashid Shaheed during the season. That was, I think, a really, really important move. And I think he's been a very impactful player for them. Obviously, Jackson Smith and Jigba kind of speaks for itself and his rise there. But again, defensively, they've hit on so much. They've hit on a lot of guys early as well. Even Worry, their second-round pick out of South Carolina, kid's just a freak. Playing kind of that safety nickel hybrid position there. He's been outstanding for them. And Devin Witherspoon was a pick after Anthony Richardson. I think he's largely lived up to that as well. So they are probably a little bit more in the comparable range to it. Whereas New England, you can just look at Drake May, and that obviously goes a long, long way. And it is kind of wild. I mean, Vrabel's a first-year head coach and Mike McDonald's second year? And here they are, both in the Super Bowl.
And again, I go back to Sam Darnold. We talked about this earlier in the week. We're going on a stretch of about 35 plus games here where he's played at an exceptionally high level of football. He played really well with Minnesota last year, and he's continued that all year long with the Seahawks. And I say it again, it feels to me like he has arrived at whatever he was going to be as a first-round pick and the guy for the Jets back in the day. It feels like it's taken him a long time, but he's gotten there.
Who do you trust more 2 minutes ago in the game on the line in the Super Bowl? Drake May, Sam Darnold.
Fascinating question. Because it's not even like Drake has played that well this postseason, right? He hasn't had to. I'm going to say Darnold because
He looked pretty good in the clutch last week, didn't he?
Right, and I do think that at some point this might just be who he is, but I totally understand that there are a lot of people still waiting for that shoe to drop.
Yeah, but even last week, Jeff, they didn't need it. I mean, neither team scored in the fourth quarter. It's not, down 4, 2 minutes to go, for either quarterback. It'd be a very foreign moment
But he made plays
try
to run the clock out, too.
Right,
Yeah.
but you got to go length of the field and score. That's a different amount of pressure. The 4-minute offense thought is a much different thought than, hey, we got to score here. Drake May's playoff run has looked very, very different. I can't. I'm starting to get there. It's going to take me a little bit of while, but I am starting to look forward to it. I'm probably a little bit more on I think this will be a competitive game. I'm not as much on I think Seattle's going to roll in this one.
Novak Djokovic is going to be playing in his 38th career Grand Slam final in a day and a half. He just beat Martin Sinner 6-4 in 5 sets.
Yannick Sinner.
Yannick, sorry, what did I say?
He is you watch this, Jeff, and he looks exhausted, and I don't know how he is going to be able to turn around in I don't even know how many hours.
How many times have we said that about him?
It's true. Yeah. It's true.
Hey, look, the good thing for him is we all know how incredibly energetic, and he's a guy that loves playing the 5-setters in Alcaraz, right? Like that's a guy built to play 5-setters. But Djokovic has some experience against a few guys that were pretty good in 5 sets, right? So
doesn't he just want to eat pizza and drink beer?
Right.
Why does he still want to stay fit and do all that?
There is something in that guy that just can't be measured, and he loves to be out there, man. It's awesome. That was a great sports moment this morning. That was fun to share with you guys.
So how many has he won? 23, 20,
I think 24. He's
and
won.
Is that, was it Margaret Court? Didn't we have somebody on the women's side that had won that many? Has he reached that? I mean, he's won the most men, right? But has he passed the all-time, women or men?
No.
I thought he did.
I think it was Margaret Court. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe somebody else. Sorry, I don't have enough.
If you include doubles, I think Martina Navratilova's got like a million
I was
of
just
them.
talking singles.
But singles right now, 24 titles right now. Nadal had 22, and Court, both Djokovic and Court hold the all-time record for the most Grand Slam titles.
So this would
history.
be to be one above her.
Yep, That is correct.
And is she Australian? Or am I imagining things?
She's Aussie or British. I don't think Australian.
Yes, she is.
I think she's Australian.
So there you go. A little sentimental
How
aspect
about
to
that?
I did not have Kevin Bowen knowing that Margaret Court was Australian on my bingo card today.
And all the
I have a
information on
whole
the Pro Bowl.
As much as I respect you and love you, that you just went up another notch. It's
Every time
amazing.
I saw her name, I thought of Margaret Coyle, who I went to school with from like kindergarten until senior year of high school.
Is Margaret Court the perfect tennis name?
Yeah, is that real?
I mean, it's unbelievable. I kind of don't want Djokovic to win just so that she can have.
Jeff should change his last name to Radio. Jeff Radio.
Yeah.
Why not Kevin Radio?
R and R.
I got you.
I just figured
I got you.
Sounded a little better.
Yeah, that's crazy. In a day and age, again, when he's competing against Federer and Nadal, and now this incredible young group of players that are playing right now, 24 Grand Slams to play in this will be his 38th final. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And that's Brady-like, right? Where you're just always there playing for a championship.
right. Again, I said this earlier. To me, we've talked about Hall of Fame candidacy a lot on today's show. The longevity element to an athlete, I think, is a very, very special trait. And for example, Frank Gore as a Hall of Famer is being debated. I think one of the more unique things to him in an era where so many running backs fell off a cliff, he was able to create some longevity at a position that's really difficult to do so. And obviously Djokovic or Brady or LeBron, I mean, their longevity is different. But It's all, you have to remind yourself. I mean, look at the Brady Super Bowls. He really won it kind of in 3 different windows.
Yeah, with 3 different kind of makeups of teams.
He won it with the early Vinatieri kicks, 01, 03, 04, whenever those were, and then kind of the mid 2000s. He has a couple there, and then obviously he finishes off there with Tampa. And you look at the level of play that LeBron is playing at his age. Obviously Djokovic. Again, Tiger Woods. When you look at his career, so dominant in that decade run. Injuries start to pile up. Then he does get that Masters in 2019, but that was really about it on that aspect to it. To me, when you can do it in these different types of games too, you're not always going to have. I'd be curious. I'm no tennis nerd by any means. I'd be curious how much Djokovic thinks his game has changed from, Caleb mentioning the 2008 Australian Open he won. In what ways? If we looked at the miles per hour on his serve, or if we looked at, how he feels like his game has evolved, I think that's what truly makes these elite athletes so special.
That's what I'm thinking. And I asked the question a minute ago, like forget ice in his veins. I don't even think it's that. When you've won 24 Grand Slams and you're playing for the right to go try and win a 38th, like when you're up 1 or 2 match points and you're getting older and how many more chances are coming around, like that's just a Tuesday for him, right? Like I don't think I can't. He's human, so he's got to feel something, but to come through in that moment, huge.
Pretty special, man. So you just got to cherish these athletes while they're here. You never know when it's going to end, and he keeps giving us moments. I think sometimes I don't like the personality of Novak Djokovic, but like as an athlete, like thankful to be alive and a tennis fan when he has been playing.
Yeah. By the way, I looked it up while we were talking there. Martina Navratilova. How many total majors, if you count singles, doubles, and mixed doubles for Martina Navratilova, how many major trophies has she won? Take a shot, Caleb.
Let's take a shot. I should try my luck because of that poll yesterday. I'm going to say 64.
Kevin?
80.
59.
Hovering again.
59 times she's hoisted the trophy of a Grand Slam. That's insane. But no, it was fun on a morning when it's one of those. I'm glad that I had it pulled up. I love watching stuff like that when something big is on the line. I've told this to people for years. They always say, "What's your favorite sport, Kevin?" If they're playing for the all-time world championship of Tiddlywinks, I'm probably watching the last 15 minutes of it. If there's something on the line,
what is
sign me up.
Tiddlywinks? I don't know. I don't know.
It was like
exactly
it was
what
like a little
is.
little. They'd have these little plastic, like dime-sized things, and you'd flip them, and where you flipped them, where they landed, had something to do with the outcome of the game. Hasn't been a thing in like
riveting.
35 years, but it was a saying not too long ago that Tiddlywinks. But anyway,
What we watched during COVID.
Point is. Yeah,
gambling on it.
You put anything on the line, even if I don't follow the sport closely, if I know it's the World Championship, I don't follow a lot of international soccer. I kind of pay attention, but not really. But when they start playing in the World Cup or they start playing for the Premier Championship, I'm in. I'll watch. If there's something online, sign me up. I don't know why that is, but I'll take it. All right, we'll finish up the week in a moment as we continue at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I see what you did there.
What'd I do?
The weekend.
Oh, yeah. See? Catching on. I'm trying around here.
Good stuff. It's been a fun morning. Thanks for being here. We'll have the third member of our crew, I guess fourth member of our crew, back on Monday. James Boyd, hopefully, will be feeling better. And a couple more days of rest. He should be okay. Kevin Bowen, I'm Jeff Rickard. And Caleb Zuver last couple of days.
Wait a second.
Huh?
Did you say fourth member of your crew?
Well, this, with you, Mark, and these three. And I was about to say you've done an excellent job of filling in for Mark Dykton today.
That's an honor. I feel just blessed to be here, man. That's very, very nice of you. Very kind.
So you've done a great job, and we appreciate that. And, if Mark continues to take the never-ending supply of PTO he seems to have amassed,
I think
he'll be in good shape.
I know a lot of over the holidays I was here, and it was great, and happy to come out of the bullpen and do it again.
Caleb, tremendous as always. Thank you, sir.
So we've got the Super Bowl coming up a week from Sunday, and of course, everybody goes down the weirdest oddity, weirdest facts about Super Bowl rabbit hole, and there is a place called Seahawks Wire that has done the research, Kevin. No quarterback with a last name under 5 letters has ever won a Super Bowl, and quarterbacks whose initials are DM are 0 for 2 in the Super Bowl, Dan Marino and Donovan McNabb. So they're going to every length and corner of stuff that probably doesn't matter about anything to explain why their team is going to win the Super Bowl.
I couldn't believe that it's the first time we've had a USC starting quarterback in the Super Bowl.
Really?
Saw that. Yeah, I was shocked to see that. And really, correct me if I'm wrong, but I did a brief scan of it earlier today. I don't think there's really much local flavor in the Super Bowl. I know a couple Notre Dame guys on Seattle, Julian Love, Riley Mills, Love, one of their better defensive backs, but that really, I think, is it. Usually we have some sort of Indiana Purdue, some sort of high school player. Purdue had that long run there for a while there where they had a player, I think, on a Super Bowl winner. I know it ended a few years back. So, we don't get that at all. Have you ever done the Radio Row thing at a Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah.
Are you a fan of it?
No. I mean, let me take that back. If your team is relevant and up there and things of that nature, it's fun. If your team, I'm pretty sure we all like the National Football League, right? But how many Colts fans really would get excited if we were broadcasting from somebody else's Super Bowl at this point? Especially the Patriots going to be at the Super Bowl.
No, it'd be cool if the Colts were there and you guys were there. That would be so cool.
Right.
But other than that,
there is a certain energy out there that's really cool. I guess my biggest problem is that every interview is now sponsored by someone, brought to someone, which is great. That's what we do. We're NASCAR in a way, right? Like Thompson Furniture sponsoring Coach Matta and things of that nature. So that's fantastic, and I welcome that. But it just doesn't feel as organic as it did 15 years ago.
It's a commercial.
Yeah, it feels
Elijah
like a big commercial
Surratt's
sometimes.
brother, a member of the Seahawks, not active, I believe, was an injured reserve. Chaz Surratt, linebacker for him. I believe Elijah Surratt playing tomorrow in the Senior Bowl. I think we will get that tomorrow. I don't know. Sometimes the Senior Bowl, you get guys, particularly national championship guys, that maybe don't participate. A couple of Indiana guys in that game. But again, not a lot of local flavor. The Patriots have Chad Muma on their roster. The diehardest of Colts fans will remember him doing some special teams work earlier in the year, but not really much on it. And a really low over-under, the 46 over-under, if you look at it from a betting standpoint, one of the lower ones we've had in a while.
You're going to be celebrating with some Hoosier lager beer? What do you got going on?
I'm more of the, you talking about the Upland beer that Kurt Ignetti loves? Yeah, I'm more of the Dragonfly fan. Maddie likes the Champagne Velvet. There's one right there at 49th and College. We actually ventured to quite a lot. So, big fans there. But yeah, the Hoosier Game Day Lager, I think I saw they're coming out with like commemorative cans. Easy for me to say there. So I assume that will be a big-time gift for IU Nation.
Are you familiar enough with Upland to make me a recommendation? When I do occasionally drink beer, and every once in a while I get the urge, I like a good strawberry wheat, or I love an amber. what would be my best choices for Upland on this.
Probably the game day lager. I mean, the game day
think so?
lager is, I want to say, one of their lightest beers. Not to stereotype, but I'd assume you and Kurt Signetti probably would be good with that.
Jeff, you say that again? You get the what?
Like I like a strawberry wheat or an amber.
No, but like you don't drink beer a lot, but like you get the.
I get the urge every once in a while.
Yeah, I may let the urge pass on that.
It's the best clip ever. It's awesome. I just every time I hear that now.
Now again, Rick Carlisle didn't say no to the potential
Context.
UVA game.
Context: Kevin inviting Coach Carlisle.
I'm still
to go to the next Virginia Notre Dame game whenever that happens.
You bringing up the game day lager? I'm thinking of you throwing them back at Carb Day a couple of years ago.
Hey,
I took one for the. I wouldn't say took one. I did that for the team.
He's about to say took one for the team.
Took one for the team.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't drink.
That's how I'm going to sum up my Carb Day experience next year.
I don't,
Guys, I'm just taking one for the team. I don't want to do it.
Yep.
I don't really drink a lot, and I certainly don't drink before 10 a.m. Kevin's right there starting them at 7:01. Let's go.
Took one for the team. Maybe a lot of listeners out there are going to tell the significant other. Yeah,
I'm just here to help.
One for the team.
Caleb.
It'll be my
you
first.
mind driving home tonight?
I'm just here to help, Caleb.
It'll be my first 500 this year, so I will be there taking one for the team when
go.
you guys are broadcasting from there.
Are you going to be? Are you old enough to have alcohol?
I'm 24. I think I'll be all right.
Oh man, we have had terrific stuff today. Thanks to Thad Matta for joining us a little bit earlier. And I do, Butler is a team that's going to be interesting in February because I could see them getting another quad one win or two and earning themselves maybe a spot later on.
Well, right now only 2 quad one wins left on the entire schedule. So, again, you're going to have to get UConn at home or get at Villanova, and then we'll see about the Big East tournament. So, yeah, Butler, Georgetown tomorrow noon. You can hear it right here on the Fan.
All right, looking forward to that. And Caleb, anything else you want to wish us before you head off into the great white north?
Happy to be here. Appreciate you guys.
Caleb, thank you, brother.
Jake at noon, JMV at 3. Talk to you soon.